Kiganjo. Later, he will meet the leaders at the Sagana State Lodge, where agriculture and business issues will take center stage. Yesterday, the president launched several projects in Nyeri County, accompanied by his deputy Rigathi Gachagua and majority leader in the National Assembly Kimani Ichung'wah. He dismissed the demands from the opposition that the IEBC servers be opened for investigations. According to the president, the election was concluded.
Tumekubaliana ya kwamba uchaguzi ilimalizika tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8. Kwani uchaguzi kuna yenye ilibaki hapa Teto mnataka kufanya hivi karibuni? Si mlimaliza ya MCA na ya mbunge na ya senator, hata ya rais mlimaliza. Sasa kuna watu wengine wanatuambia ati iko story nyingine sijui ya saba. Sasa tumewaambia hawa watu wacheni mchezo. Ama namna gani? Wacheni kutuhadaa. Mambo ya uchaguzi tulimaliza.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua also denied any possibility of a handshake, a statement that was supported by a majority leader in the National Assembly, Kimani Ichung'wah.
Na rais wetu hapa katika Tetu na hii Nyeri yetu. Hapa Tetu wao ni watoto ya maumau. Mambo wangetaka wakuambie na wamekuambia rais. Uliona wamenyamaza tu wanakuangalia. Hiyo maneno ya handshake hii watu hawataki. Ama mnataka
na nusu mkate ishindwe na handshake. Handshake. Ati handshake ishindwe. Bas, nyinyi kama mmesema hiyo ni amri rais.
Meanwhile, Kenya Kwanza leaders have maintained that the cost of living will not be discussed in the talks as the government has already put in place strategies to produce enough food in the country. These while leaders leading the mediation talks on the opposition side met to discuss several issues before their meeting with their Kenya Kwanza counterparts on Wednesday this week, that is tomorrow. And Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga has led senior officials of her government to sign performance contracts, giving a strong warning against officials who will be negligent at work. Wanga led the activity in Homa Bay, where the CECs and officials of her government signed the agreement. In her address, Wanga said everyone will have to deliver as per the signed contracts.
We are about the people. Everything we do, we must look and see how does it work for the people who gave us this opportunity. Reward for achievement. I want to promise you that there will be reward for achievement, but there will also be punishment for failure. We will look for where the failure came from. If we don't deliver for the people of Homa Bay, they will send me and the DG home. You think they'll entertain us? They will send us home. Before they send me home, you will go before me. The CEC.
Wanga, together with the Deputy Governor Oyugi Magwanga and the Assembly Speaker Julius Gaya, warned that anyone who fails to deliver on their mandate will be fired.
The Deputy Governor and myself went round together with some of us, and we discussed with the people an agenda that we wanted to achieve for them for the period that they were going to give us for signing these contracts today with the CCs, and also to help us to together achieve our vision and mission for the people of Homa Bay. And in the process of doing this, we hope to get Homa Bay to the top. We have a big mission to put Homa Bay to the top, to make Homa Bay respected among the community of counties.
Magwanga asked all county workers to work together and deliver as expected of them.
A common legal framework that people do worldwide. It shows how committed you are to your employer. And this is what we have done.
Majority Leader in Nyamira County Assembly Elijah Osiemo has died. Naivasha OCPD Benjamin Boyne confirmed that Osiemo, who is also the Nyamira Ward representative, died in a road accident on the Mai Mahiu Narok Highway. Boyne further said that the three other MCAs and their driver were seriously injured in the accident. Duke Masira was together with Osiemo when the accident happened.
We were almost approaching Mai Mahiu. That was when a boda rider got into the road. The driver tried to overtake with emergency, and then by bad luck, he hit the boda rider who had jackaled with him. And then after that, I cannot even say that I saw what happened.
This is New to I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
This is one of the hottest show that we can ever miss in the morning, and it's a show that really gives the real situation in the situation room.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you guys so much. Ndutha, nice meeting you. And even beautiful in person more than in photos.
Say that again. Character is like pregnancy. You cannot hide it. You know, people hiding here and there, you know, but after 2-3 months, 5 months, now you realize, so that is why the attitude that you were showing us, you're pregnant.
It's like what my grandmother would say. You cannot pickpocket a naked man.
How's that? It's communal, isn't it? No comment.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
The man who looks at a beautiful girl and doesn't talk to her will end up serving lunch at her wedding.
Aya, City, do like that.
My father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man?
Ameua panya.
Small mammal, big mammal.
Mtu atamshinda.
How are we comparison? I mean, you kill a mouse.
What are they saying?
What they're saying is, my father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man? Name, surprise. Someone's name.
The name surprised you?
No, the name is surprise.
No, what am I saying? I'm from Nigeria, man. I met somebody called I Believe. So I said, your name is I Believe? Yes, my name is I Believe. But that's the short form. I said, excuse me? I said, yes, my name is I Believe. So what's the full name? I believe in the goodness of God.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people, and we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing politics of conmanship, and even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. And hii mambo utaona dunia tu.
Good morning. Welcome to Tuesday, the second day of the week, and it looks like it's not going to be too bad of a morning if what we're seeing on the streets is anything to go by. A little bit of traffic starting to build up on Uhuru Highway. Looks like it's getting busy as you get to that junction coming in with Haile Selassie. On the Thika Superhighway, nothing much happening right about now. A little bit as you get onto Jago Road, right around the Makadara train station. It'll take you through towards Landis without too much of a slowdown, and then on towards Haile Selassie, moving into the CBD. All right, coming out of Westlands, not much either. A little bit as you approach the what was roundabout, and on the northern bypass, a little bit of traffic then coming in towards Ruaka. It's still early pickings. Let's see what happens later. And let's talk on Spice FM, KE on Twitter.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Vipi mambo.
Mambo.
Poor.
Mambo poa. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
How are you this morning? Good morning.
I am very fine this morning. Good morning to you too. Umelala poa?
Hapana.
What happened? What happened?
It was not enough, I beg.
Yeah? What was not enough? The time or the sleep?
The sleep.
Did you get to bed in time?
Okay, that's a good question.
Yeah?
So, you know what happened yesterday?
Okay, you tell me.
See, we finished the show.
Yes.
Then we went outside.
Yes.
Then I told you what?
You wanted to watch Nigeria, but then you'd forgotten.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I told you, let me organize my thoughts. Those were the last words I spoke to you.
Yes.
Let me organize my thoughts. I sat there for 3 minutes. Then I looked at the time. I said, whoa. Nigeria is playing. What are you doing here? Can you carry your bag and go home? That's how I now carried my bag. I went home. I sat down. I watched football. I watched. 90 minutes finished. 0-0. Hey, God. Extra time. 15 minutes first half finished. Nothing.
0-0.
Second half of extra time.
Nigeria versus England.
We held them properly.
They held
how they
you.
now said 11-time Africa champions versus former colonizers. That's how they now said we should do penalties. Said, good Lord in heaven. Missed the first one. Missed the second one. England now scored 1-0. What? I said, okay, come on, girls, we can do this. We didn't do it, though.
Come on.
We didn't do it.
Because?
4-2 penalties. We lost. The Shah was scared. They knew we were winning. They also knew we were winning.
So Nigeria lost 2 penalties.
Nigeria scored 2 penalties and missed 2.
Missed 2 penalties.
So by the time England was scoring the 4th one,
it was game over.
It was over. They didn't even have to go to the 5th.
Nah.
It did not do my body well at all.
It's a game of chance.
It's unfortunate that, the game has to come down to the decider by penalties. But what to do?
But England really held Nigeria.
Nigeria held England properly.
No, England held Nigeria.
Watch the match.
It was England holding Nigeria. Can't be the other way around, Buana. Huh? If you're saying that Nigeria held England, it means that Nigeria were the underdogs. Were they?
No, what are you talking about?
Okay, so you want to change your statement?
Okay, yeah. Nigeria played a better match.
Right.
England had a luckier day.
Right, you go.
Yeah, let's put it like that.
So England survived by the whisker.
They did. They survived this one.
Wow. So that affected your sleep?
Then my whole day just did like this.
Oh, yeah.
I started doing the work that I was supposed to do at 7 o'clock.
Oh, yeah. And got to bed at what time?
A few minutes to midnight.
Yeah. Pole.
But we're here.
Yeah.
Mama.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you?
We move nonetheless. I'm here. That matters.
Okay.
That's enough. I am here. Okay. Yeah. Tukisikia nikiongea na nguvu hivi natafuta nguvu. Sawa. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday. It's the 8th of the 8th, 2023. The situation room is, the live stream is up and everything is working. Let me tell you what we'll be discussing today. No, CT is still away. He's watching cartoons and all those things. He's just chilling and relaxing. And then he'll come and tell us how he was reading 17 books at the same time. He did 3 pages of each. At 7 a.m., we'll be joined by a lady called Wanjiro Nguhe. Wanjiro is a program manager at Fumbua. And Fumbua is part of the Baraza Media Lab. They released a report last week that raised concern about something that's happening on social media. And this is the promotion of some products that are meant to be good for the female health.
However.
And people have been buying these things. Huh?
For yonks. Not just buying them and keeping them in the house. Buying them and using them and promoting
and
them.
And giving positive testimonials and saying that these things have worked for me. And what are they? What does work mean?
Do they even know what
it has done what?
Yeah? That's the question.
So yesterday, the government came out and said, wait a minute. These products, by the way, we have absolutely nothing at all to show that they are meant to work. And you see, they're supposed to be used in the, the reproductive parts of a female human being.
Yes, the reproductive system. Yes.
Those ones. Mm-hmm. Okay. So Wajiro will be joining us at 7 a.m. to discuss this, what they raised as for Muga. And then at 8 o'clock, we'll be joined by the Principal Secretary in charge of the Hustler Fund. This is Susan Mangeni. She's a PS in the State Department for MSME Development in the Ministry of, it's called what? Cooperative, MSME.
And something. It's one of those meaty kind.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah, cooperative MSMEs, and there's something else.
I'll find it.
Chelugui's ministry. Yes, so the PS, Susan Mangeni, joins us at 8 a.m. Let's talk about this Hustler Fund. It was launched in December. How much has been disbursed? How much has been repaid? How many products are there? Remember they said, we're first of all launching the personal product, then we shall go into the group product, then we shall go into the company product. So she'll be here at 8 to track the Hustler Fund products and their impact. And then at 9 a.m. So this issue of talks. Yesterday the president said, okay, yeah, good. We are still on for these talks. And Raila had said previously, yeah, we are on for these talks, but only until the end of this month. And after the end of this month, we are back to the streets. Ruto is saying, sasa ni nini conditions na wewe? Si kwanza tufanye talks.
Let's just talk.
But the civil society is like, you people, where are we as the citizens in this conversation? Cyprian Nyamwamu is the director of Future of Kenya Foundation, and he'll be here to tell us the citizens' position on Azimio and Kenya Kwanza talks. Okay? We'll be discussing that with Cyprian at 9 a.m. The live stream is up.
It is.
Very good. So now tell us about the weather forecast, and then we will do like that. If you're online, and you can see many of you are, please say hello to CT, where he is watching us from far. Say hello to Eric and Ndu. And of course, don't forget Ednah. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Cloudy conditions at 12 in Nairobi, highs of 22, and we'll see highs of 26 in a cloudy Nakuru at 13. It's 13 and cloudy in Nyeri, highs of 22, and we'll see lows of 13, and 12 will be the low. It is what it is right now, and partly cloudy in Eldoret, going to highs of 22. It's 22 and clear in Mombasa, highs of 29, and we'll see highs of 28 in a cloudy Malindi, currently at 24. 19 and clear in Kisumu, highs of 29, and 28 will be the high in a clear Kakamega at 16. Into Kampala, it's cloudy at 19, highs of 27, and Dar es Salaam is cloudy at 23 with highs of 30 through Tuesday. 7 degrees and clear in Johannesburg, highs of 21 and lows of 5, and Lagos is cloudy at 26 with highs of 30 and lows of 25. It's 21 and mostly cloudy in Kinshasa, highs of 32 and lows of 20. 30 degrees and partly sunny in Beijing Tuesday afternoon with highs of 32. We'll see lows of 25. It's cloudy at 14 in Paris, highs of 22, and we'll see highs of 18 in a cloudy London at 14. It's cloudy at 23 in New York Monday night. Coming into Tuesday, we'll see highs of 27 and lows of 22.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM,
Kaiser
Nairobi.
Obed is awake.
Good morning, Kaiser.
And condolences to him and the people of Nyamira County for the accident that happened yesterday and the loss of their county majority leader.
Yeah, that was sad. So rest in peace.
Yes. Who
People
else?
are online this morning. Monis Journey says, good morning, tuned in from Singapore. Sir George Gashoiri says, good morning, tuned in, watching from Manchester in the UK. Mwaura says, the Three Musketeers. One is musketeering somewhere else. He's watching from Limuru, and it's 6 degrees. Eric, It is 6 degrees in Limuru.
Why?
What would you be able to do right about now if you were there?
Hey.
Ednah is
Ednah,
here.
I'm a letter sweet.
Good morning.
The champion, the conqueror, the lion is here.
So this chick is not alright.
Amesema nikupatia hii moja. Hii nyingine nikupatia after the show.
Corruption and impunity. In the morning, even before 6:30.
Chukua sweet bwana. Ask me for this other one after the show. Okay. Have it. Thank you, Ednah.
Ednah, you're thebomb.com. It's 6 degrees in Limuru. How would you survive, you personally, you?
Can you imagine how cold it was at 3 a.m.?
I can. Blanket
Must
weather.
have been like 3 degrees at 3.
Imagine.
Okay.
Habari zenu nyinyi. Alex from Doha says good morning. Nella says hello from Nyamira. Mwenda Pole says good morning Banange. Team Spice mupatiwe ujimoto kwa bili yangu.
Kabisa.
Ujimoto.
Supplier ni nani?
Sasa hiyo ndio swali.
Okay.
Edwin says good morning Eric and tuned in for some spicy Tuesdays. Karibu sana. Fort Worth, Texas is where Jonah Chalimo is. Good morning Spice FM family. It's high time we had a Spice FM breakfast with a live audience. Ms. Keyo.
That's a good idea.
It's a very good idea. It's a conversation that can be taken forward.
Yeah.
We'll do like that. Hello from South Morang in Melbourne. Tuned in from Tel Aviv is Silas Kibet. Good morning, Ndu. Shake Eric's hand. Shake Latiff's hand. Next. Okay. I don't know where.
Next, that's Swahili proverb. Mkono mtupu haulambwi.
Excusez-moi?
Should have been handing something in the hand.
Oh, I should have put something in your hand.
Just surely.
Okay, next time. Gladys, tell us to greet each other tomorrow and we'll see what we can do. One of these days, invite a mental health expert in the studio. It's important. It actually is. Chris Moura says good morning. James Mwangi says good morning, team. We'll sit back and do just that. Tune in from Pangani is Leonard Kamau. And Paul Ngetich says good morning, watching from Muthaiga. How are you? In one word, Hawayu. From Rocker.
Very good.
Good afternoon from South Korea. That's where Waigi is. Courier Isaac says good morning. Tune in from Nairobi. Looking forward to an insightful conversation. Where is today's proverb from?
Same place like yesterday's.
Just like yesterday.
Yeah.
Paulo Chieng says good morning. Into the best team lost, but there's always next time. Usajali. Indeed, they did. Jacob, tune in from Las Vegas. Sugar and spice in Houston City. Mistreatment of the elderly is vile and should be dealt with the full force of the law to the perpetrators. Yes, that was hard to watch. Hello, y'all, from Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota. That's Ruth Karenge. Alvin Obambo is watching from North Carolina, Raleigh specifically. James Lubega is tuned in from Copenhagen. And Levi Kime tuned in from Vihiga. He says, please fix the radio signal in Vihiga. So, George Mburo is tuned in from Bomet. James Sekento is here. Leo City Akawapi. City is...
Hii wiki yote, City ana chill. Yes.
Sam Chelule tuned in from Sydney. Kev, King Dave says, kwani hile song ya jana ya Boni Mwataig. There was a song you were supposed to sing yesterday.
There's a song we were supposed to watch.
Something like that. Okay, well, Dave is reminding you about that. Victor Mutai is tuned in. Normandy in France is where Justice Muchoki is. And Dedan Mwangi says, good morning, tuned in from Bills Kukan in Somalia. Good morning, everybody.
Karibuni sana. This week's proverbs are from the Songhai people who are found in those countries, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, and around there. Today's proverb is this way. It goes this way.
Okay.
And that way. Salt cannot glorify itself in the sauce. Salt cannot glorify itself in the sauce. Yeah.
It can only glorify somebody else.
Salt cannot glorify itself.
It's there for the glory of something else in the sauce. Sauce, the salt in the sauce is actually there to glorify somebody else, not itself. Yeah, I can see that.
It's like salt cannot praise itself. and say, "Oh,
I am salt.
I'm tasty and I."
I'm salty.
I like it. I'm salty. Can't.
Got it.
Okay, let's see what the others will be saying. Tuendelee, headlines.
All right. On the front page of the Standard today, we are looking at Ruto maintains tough conditions ahead of talks. President yesterday said he's ready for dialogue with the opposition, but he will not be blackmailed using violence, and that power sharing is off the table, as his henchmen also ruled out talks on the cost of living. Okay, so all right. Hopes and fears of school leavers who shunned slots. Close to 600,000 students who sat for KCSE last year did not opt for placement to universities or colleges. For some, the cost was prohibitive, but for others, it was out of ignorance. So there's a problem there, and it's not because they're...
It's a big story. That when you say out
story.
of ignorance, how?
They, according to what they're saying, they did not know
that they were supposed to do this.
They were supposed to go onto the platform and seek for placement. You see the way...
Did the head teachers know?
That's it. You see, that's what I was just about to say. You see the way now class 8s currently, somewhere at the end of first term, teachers now start rallying parents around and saying,
register for
registering for KCPE, and then also begin to do what? Select your schools. You choose national, you choose county, you choose sub-county, ex-county, blah, blah. You do that, and that by the end of first term must be done. Dr. Mary Wahome sat here and told us that KUSIPS for Form 4s is exactly the same. You are actually supposed to now start selecting by the time you're finishing.
By the time you're registering for the exams, you're also selecting
exactly
what do you want to do.
So for somebody to now say that they did not know, I'm very surprised, because she said that function is domiciled with, number one, career counselors in high schools or head teachers as well. So
but ultimately the head teacher.
Yes, you should be sure that for every student who is registered in your school and is sitting KCSE, they should have that placement already done. So when you say that they did not know, it's out of ignorance, is it that they didn't know at all, or that when they were filling out the forms, they did it in error? You see, it's
they didn't do it in error.
Or they didn't do it at all.
Yeah, it's that they didn't do it at all.
Yeah.
Because... 600,000 out of 800,000, that is basically telling you schools didn't do it.
They didn't.
It's crazy. It's really crazy.
So we'll look into the details of the story, but it's a big one. And in terms of then what exactly is going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Wasingishu, leaders in eye of storm after botched varsity fund. That thing has come to bite people. Nose, face, everywhere, because it doesn't look good. It doesn't look pretty at all.
Yeah.
You're not able to explain where 13 million shillings went and why. All right. The story of the home for the elderly in Thogoto is still making headlines here, as everybody was, in chagrin yesterday. Like, how can this be happening? Questions about how do you throw your folks away to an elderly home? And you're there. Why? Why would you do that? So those questions are still being asked till now. On the front page of The Nation, dam scandal. When you thought there could not be another dam scandal in Kenya, boom, there it is. Senator's firm was paid 2 billion, not million, not 200 million, 2 billion.
2,000 million.
For a what? For a thicket. Do you know what a thicket is? Remember when Abraham was taking his son Isaac to slaughter on the mountain? And when he was about to raise the knife and cut it, then the Lord said, Abraham, stop. You have shown that you are faithful. Look over to the thicket.
And you'll see a lamb.
A ram. Or who?
It was a ram.
Now, that thicket. That is what somebody was paid 2 billion shillings for. In 2009, Midrock Water Drilling Company, owned by Mohammed Shute, now Marsabit senator, started construction of Badassa Dam in 2009. What year are we in, please?
We are in 2023.
All right.
2009, we had not even changed our constitution.
Okay. Now, on completion, it would have, now we're speaking aspirationally,
Yes.
it would have stored 5 million cubic meters of water. See, hiyo ni kitu mzuri sana. Okay. Sufficient enough to finish the thirst of long-suffering residents of Marsabit town. But today, there is no such water fountain. Only a deep money pit in a shrub.
Utatuambia hiyo story. That's a very, very annoying story.
It's very annoying. Forced NYS-style drill for students, mandatory 3 months community service after senior school, as well as 9 months upon completing university and college will be required of graduates before securing employment if education reforms by a presidential task force are implemented. So that's one of the 14 reforms that's being highlighted here and asking, will it actually work? Ruto Raila rule out power sharing ahead of crucial talks. Just like what you were saying, some have said, let's just talk. Others have said, finish by August. If not, this thing is all tumbling down like a house of cards.
So if both of them have said no power sharing, why is it an issue then?
So we just stopped talking about it. So we've said no. Next. Why are we still discussing? Why are we still talking about that there will be no power sharing?
Almighty. Oh my God.
Can he help us?
God.
Yeah. All right. The law changed to end messy divorces. A bill before the National Assembly proposes to amend the law to allow an estranged couple to separate by mutual consent. If we are inside and we say, come, this thing we're not doing again, you say, we leave it. I say, we leave it. We leave it. Instead of in court running about, we'll look at the details of that on the back page. Inside the state's plan to create 1 million overseas jobs per year. Remember, we talked about this yesterday and said, what's the problem? Unemployment is an issue. Government has the answer. We'll see what that is in a bit.
All right. Business Daily. The Kenya shilling has, in one of the costliest free falls in history, lost its value trading against the US dollar by nearly half in 50 months, making consumers pay dearly for imported goods. Several commercial banks are already selling US dollars above the 150 shilling mark in Nairobi, piling pressure on the shilling while setting up consumers for a new wave of currency-driven price increases across imported products, including fertilizer, electronics, and cars. Shilling hits 150 against the US 150. What? 200 December.
It's coming.
Guy. Other headline, IPRA boss faces a day in court over fuel taxes row. Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority Director General Daniel Kiptoo has been summoned to explain why he disregarded court order suspending the implementation of the Finance Act and adjusted fuel prices. This is after Busia Senator Okoh Mtata requested the three-judge bench of David Majanja, Christine Meoli and Lawrence Mugambi to issue the summons to this man because, what happened? Surely. So the judges have said, tell him to come. Tell him to come to us and tell us exactly what happened. Okay? Yeah. So that's it. Let's take this break. Tell us about traffic. And then we'll look at those stories in great detail. Good morning. Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room with Eric Latiff and Ndu Okoh. CT Muga is away this week. He'll be back, God willing, next week.
This is The Situation Room. The only way to start your
now is
day.
when you see a little bit of movement on the thicker superhighway coming in through towards the Pangani underpass. Yesterday was, traffic of nightmarish proportions on the highway. We hope that today will be a little bit better. As you're coming off of Waiyaki Way into the CBD, that looks all right. James Gishero behaving really, really well over the last few days. Traffic has just been flowing proper. Northern Bypass, not too much. There's a little bit of movement, but I think we'll be fine. Around about 6:30, we've not seen a clog up. Let's just hope for the best. On North Airport Road, heading out towards Outer Ring at the junction and then towards the Eastern Bypass, some traffic here as well. But everything seems to be moving. On Uhuru Highway, coming off of Mombasa Road, all the way into the city, out towards Westlands, it looks pretty good. Knock on wood, folks. Let's hope Tuesday continues just so. In the meantime, let's talk on Spice FM KE on Twitter.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
a big farmer.
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Kalicha, Ramudina Ward, Mandera North. His name is Abdullahi Alas. He's a big farmer. Yeah, he is now harvesting.
What is he harvesting?
Sent pictures here.
What is he harvesting?
Iko dania, iko tomato, iko sukuma wiki, iko mahindi. Hey, iko vitu mingi. Iko hata watermelon.
What? Tikiti maji.
Tikiti maji. Hey, Abdullahi, well done. Well done.
Okay, let me show you this picture for context. All
Context.
There's the picture.
No, Ednah.
Ednah is awake.
Can you capture that one?
This is the picture, just so that you can see what we're talking about here.
Like okay? Zoom in.
Do you see the thicket? Do you understand before I tell you the story?
That is thicket.
That is thicket.
Okay.
Sawa sawa? Okay. Now, once upon a time, in 2009, if everything had gone right, what you see would have been replaced by a dam. All right?
The Great Renaissance.
I'm telling you, of Marsabit. It would have stored 5 million cubic meters of water when the long rains ended in June. The dam was one of the key water supply projects under President Mwai Kibaki's Vision 2030, and it was set to be the biggest dam in Kenya's largest county. But is Turkana not Kenya's largest county? That has changed, I think. It's now Turkana. Anyway.
No, Marsabit has always been. Marsabit is the size of a country.
Yeah, I saw a documentation yesterday that it's now Turkana. It's even being taught in schools that it's Turkana. Are they wrong?
Connie, they've changed boundaries.
I'm telling you, something is weird, eh?
Boundaries
or
have
some
not
students will get wrong answers. Anyway, the project has since 2008 seen taxpayers fork out nearly 2 billion shillings to Midrock Water Drilling Company owned by Marsabit Senator Mohammed Chute for nothing more than an expensive trench that, aside from being an eyesore, is an inconvenience to residents and wildlife inside Marsabit Forest. Sitting approximately 10 kilometers from Marsabit town, the abandoned dam is a painful lesson for taxpayers and an even more punishing experience for Badassa and Songa residents who bought into utopian promises when construction started. So they were paid this money. Construction actually begun. People saw these things happening. Unlike the common perception of heat and sand all over, Marsabit town and its environs enjoy moderate temperatures owing to the thick foliaged Marsabit forest that provides a cooling effect. Water and electricity are precious resources here. Most parts of the town have a low water table, hence boreholes are not an easy alternative to piped water. Electricity is also a challenge because the town and its county headquarters have not been connected to the national grid. The challenge presents some kind of irony as Marsabit County is home to one of Africa's biggest wind farms situated in Leongalani. Despite all the hullabaloo surrounding Badassa Dam from 2009 and the massive amounts of money taxpayers have spent on it, the project site tells a different tale. It is difficult to imagine that over 2 billion shillings has been shelled out for the project. Part of the excavation done, a 500-meter spillway, a concrete pillar and heaps of red soil, which is not native to Badassa, are the only bits of evidence on site that there were works being done at some point in the past. Yet, these consumed a huge chunk of the funds paid to Mr. Chute's firm. Despite failing to complete the project, Midrock successfully sued the National Water Conservation and Pipeline Corporation, the project owner, seeking 264 million shillings for materials it delivered to the dam site.
I brought materials. Give me 264 million.
264. Let's not talk about the fact that you paid me 2 billion and I didn't do nothing. That one is aside. Just, pay me. The firm argued in court documents that it spent 988.4 million shillings on earthworks, roadworks, grouting or plastering, and the main embankment, the 52-meter wall that was to hold water in the dam, out of the 2 billion. So that 2 billion that you paid me, almost half of it I spent doing all these things.
Doing the excavations, Buana.
There is no road to write home about, as the narrow and stony path leading to the site can only be navigated by SUVs or by foot. The main embankment is incomplete.
Jesus.
The spillway, a tunnel used to discharge water from the dam, is full, and water treatment plants that are among the few complete aspects of the project cumulatively cost less than 500 million shillings, which raises questions on whether taxpayers got value for their money. Does it really raise a question? As in, do you even have to ask, did they get value for their money? The answer is no. I mean, what are we talking about? Is there a dam? There's no dam. So you didn't get value for your money. I don't even want to read the story anymore, but I shall.
Continue.
Interestingly enough, the National Water Conservation and Pipeline Corporation failed to contest whether Midrock had delivered works worth 1.65 billion shillings, which later grew to 2 billion once the 264 million and other fees are accounted for. It goes on. A request from the Water Ministry in 2017 for an additional 1.2 billion to complete the dam raised further questions as the amount already spent on Badassa Dam. Grouting was neither incomplete or not done at all. Marsabit Water and Sewage Company CEO Stephen Sora Catello said salvaging the dam project would first require grouting. So even if you people want us to, you're making noise, even if you want us to do something about it, you know what? Just bring a little bit more than that 2 billion.
Pay money,
that you people have talked
what is
about.
the problem?
Cannot help you. So Catello himself is the one who has experience with dams. He oversaw the completion of Bakuli Dam, which is within Marsabit Forest. So he's done this kind of work before. So one would hope that he knew what he was talking about. Bakuli Dam has a capacity to hold 300 million litres of water after the long rainy season ended in June, and the dam was full. Badassa and Songa residents have been promised 2 boreholes on the project site after completion of the dam as a supplementary source of water. You know what?
I don't know what. You tell me what.
This thing started in 2008. It's 15 years down the line. It has not been done. What are the chances
that it will be done? The chances are 2 billion shillings strong. Let me continue. Let me help you then reading that because you're tired.
Yeah.
You are already angry. Let's just do the nation ends with the chronology of what happened. June 9, 2009, Midrock started work on the Badassa Dam after getting an advance payment of 175 million shillings. 175 million shillings inaitwa ile kazi ya kufungua file. The row of heavy machinery began being driven to the site, chopping down trees, excavating the ground to develop the 52-meter high, 300-meter long dam located barely 10 meters from the town, gave hope to the residents. Then began a comedy of errors that would add to Kenya's burgeoning list of white elephants. Midrock should have handed over a complete dam by December 2011. The National Water Conservation and Pipeline Corporation and Runji Partners, which is an engineering consultant hired to audit the construction, wrote several letters to Midrock raising concerns about the sluggish works. A site progress report submitted by Runji Partners in January 2011, and which the Nation Investigations Team found at the abandoned site, shows 11 months before the project completion date, Midrock had only done 36% of the work. This document shows crucial aspects of the dam were still incomplete. Construction of a coffer dam, a watertight enclosure built to enable underwater works, was yet to start. Excavation of the dam site was only halfway done. Construction of the embankment was yet to start. The road leading to the dam site was only 10% complete. The Water Corporation has disbursed 1.65 billion shillings to Midrock by that time, which is 2011. The firm walked out on Badassa in 2013, leaving rickety equipment at the site. The interesting bit is that where the company went to court.
Imagine.
And the water company would not contesting. But you're saying 200 million. Okay, we are not contesting.
It's okay.
And the ukora that is live.
People are not even
live. Remember this time in 2008, there was another huge issue, and that's when the Kibaki administration had said, all right, we are starting these water projects. Charity Ngilu was the Minister for Water.
Yes.
And it was, now we are moving. What we are going to do is, yes, please. We are not joking around with this thing. We are starting very many water dam projects. Now, we are yet in another conversation again about mega dam projects, PPP, mega dam projects. The Minister for Water, the Honorable Alice Wahome, will be with us on Thursday morning. This question.
We want to do 100. The number still remains at 100.
Yes.
If she answers one question, if she answers that one question for me, we can end the show early on that Thursday. Because I just want to know, all these other ones that were, or are they part of the ones to be completed? All these other ones that are wrapped up in all this scandal, in this theft of funds, in this inexplicable manner in which things are dealt with at this level, are they part of this? Or we're just going to say, on top of the drama that has already been, on top of the rot that is already there, let's go into another 100 projects for water. Come on.
Hakuna. My friend, forget it. Forget it. I've told you before.
Forget it.
Forget it. That's it. It's gone. Imeenda. I'm seeing the conversation about these sizes of counties happening. So I've gone to the Devolution website.
Yep.
And I am checking. Turkana is 71,597 square kilometers. Weka hiyo chini mahali.
Ngoja sema tena.
Turkana County is 71,597 square kilometers. I'm seeing somebody talking about their Laikipia County being the largest. Laikipia is 8,696. It is smaller than Baringo, which is 11,075. All right, we're looking for what now? Marsabit County. Marsabit County. Marsabit should be county number what? Marsabit should be county number. Where is Marsabit County? We've gone to Nyeri, Muranga, we've gone to Turkana, West Pokot, Samburu, Trans Nzoia, Uasin Gishu, Elgeyo Marakwet, Nandi, Baringo, Laikipia, Nakuru, Narok, Kajiado, Kericho, Bomet, Kakamega, Vihiga. Where are these counties? No, they must be. We go coast, we go up the northeastern, then we go that way. So let me go back up. Yes, I've seen Marsabit. Marsabit is 66,923.
There you go. Turkana is bigger.
Mandera is 25,797. Yeah, so Turkana is the largest county.
So the boy got the thing correct.
In the Republic of Kenya. Okay?
Yep.
Tufunge your story namna hiyo.
That one is done.
Okay.
All right.
Now let me tell you. Let's go to the port of Mombasa.
Okay.
A 40-feet container imported with alcoholic beverages has been discovered with empty bottles during a verification exercise by KRA.
Okay.
The container is among 104 others containing assorted expired goods lined up for destruction at the port of Mombasa after importers failed to pay duty on time. In a Gazette notice, the authority said the containers with wines had arrived in the country on July 29th, 2009. We're dealing with 209 stories today.
2009.
Yeah. The Gazette notice reveals that the container is among several others whose vital documents such as manifest numbers, agents' names and addresses could not be traced. Questions remain on how the container was opened and contents vanished within a custom-bonded warehouse at G Section Kilindini, where it's been lying for the past 14 years. An independent search by the Nation revealed that the container was carrying 1,984 cartons of assorted wine when it arrived in the country on a ship christened M. Alabama in 2009. Mask Alabama, the one that was kidnapped.
Supposedly.
Not kidnapped, it was hijacked.
On the sea.
By the pirates.
The pirates, yes.
The goods were later on listed for auction by the Customs Department in 2010. At that time, Galatea Alimentari, whose address is in Watamu, Malindi, was named as the consignee. In 2018, former Director of Criminal Investigations, George Kinoti, revealed that KRA had lost about 100 billion shillings in a period of just 6 months to irregularities at the port, leading to the arrest and prosecution of KRA officials. Now, when these guys opened this container, they found the cartons of wine. They found bottles of wine. just that the bottles were empty. Of wine.
Okay. I have questions.
When Alabama was coming to Mombasa, Alabama brought wine in bottles.
Did Alabama
in cartons,
confirm that there was
in a
wine
container
inside? Liquid content, was it available inside when Alabama was leaving origin?
Maybe it evaporated. You know, Mombasa is hot.
Maybe it did what?
Maybe it evaporated.
All of them?
Yeah, I mean, those are many years.
Okay. And they were sealed, the bottles? Okay.
Wine cellars are usually in cool places.
Okay.
Now, this is not in a wine cellar. It's put in a container in the heat of Mombasa.
I like how you're trying to explain this, but
So wine just basically just evaporates, buana.
It's possible.
Yeah.
So where's the drama?
The drama now is what are they auctioning? Because KRA must auction these things that have not been claimed. So what are they auctioning?
The air.
Or bottles.
Air. It would not be the first time that somebody was asking for money for air. So, we're not far from the theatre of the bizarre or the absurd.
Surely.
So it's very possible that it can be done. It's just that you've been told now. You hear this story for the bottles. You will hear that money was paid somewhere. Wait. It's just that.
Surely.
Yeah. All right. Let me tell you. So we saw the report from KNBS about the staggering numbers of unemployment in the country.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
And we also looked at the fact that, look, some people are being shunned because how dare you do this work online when you're actually completing somebody's term paper, whatever. And people are saying, excuse me, I'm in my house doing a job that you have not made a conducive environment in order for me to get one otherwise. Now, the state has a plan. The state being the country, the government, has a plan to create 1 million overseas jobs every year so that, we start to put a dent in this high percentage of unemployment. The government wants to create 1 million jobs a year for Kenyans abroad to boost diaspora remittances and foreign exchange earnings. So you think it's because they need to get Kenyans more jobs? No, we need more money coming into the country. So you can also think about going. Last year, diaspora remittances reached 559 billion shillings, surpassing foreign exchange for earnings from horticulture, tea and coffee, which are Kenya's leading exports. An estimated 4 million Kenyans live and work abroad and send money back to the country for investment, personal development and care for their families. Labour and Social Protection Cabinet Secretary Florence Bore has revealed that there are job opportunities for Kenyans in Asia, Europe and the Middle East, which the government has begun to exploit as a way to ease the pressure of youth unemployment.
Yep.
Bore said the jobs will soon be available through the National Employment Authority, adding that the government will work with the recruitment agencies to ensure that all legal procedures are followed and Kenyans are not exploited. So these jobs that they know they're out there, essentially what they're going to do is consolidate them, put them on this portal, and they'll be updated regularly. So Kenyans here can now start to apply for them. Okoh.
This is who? Bore, the CS
This is
for
Bore.
labor.
Yeah.
So what has she been doing for the last... There's a National Employment Authority. What has it been doing?
Before Bore came?
Yeah.
They've been employing authoritatively. Wait. She can now tell you that there are more than 15 countries where Kenyans can seek employment opportunities, including the United Kingdom, the United States, Germany, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Canada, Oman, Qatar, Kuwait, and others. She was speaking in Kericho, and she added that the president was not only looking to create jobs locally, but also looking abroad to grow the economy and strengthen the shilling. So it's a double whammy here. You get your Kenyans employed, and at the same time, you get remittances.
One would look at this and just assume this is obvious, right?
Yeah, it's like a dull moment. It's what else?
Like, what did she sign in the performance contract the other day?
What she said she would do.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I did not see
What are her KPIs?
I don't know what hers. It was clear what others were.
Because if Bore's KPI is not to get 1 million people out of the country working proper jobs in other parts of the world by end of December, everything else is just stories.
Yeah.
Because imagine, and we have a beautiful platform, and credit to Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja. When he was a nominated member of parliament, he came up with a bill to establish the National Employment Authority.
Yeah.
Now we have a body that can coordinate all these things. Okay? We have a trade and a labor minister. We have a foreign affairs ministry and a State Department for diaspora affairs. We've got embassies in all these countries. We've got deals that have been signed, Kenya, UK, Kenya, Germany. Kenya, US, Kenya, Canada,
Kenya, Saudi Arabia,
Kenya, Saudi Arabia, actually,
day,
Kenya, entire Gulf, actually. Buena. People,
I don't understand. It just seems to me that this is something that you can wrap up really quickly and put it aside. Then you can
and just make it very clear.
This is how it's going to work.
This is the portal. This is how it works. You want your seeking employment. This is how you apply. These are the jobs available. This is what has been. Kenya has negotiated with X number of X country. We are looking for 200 nurses to go to the UK, and this is the qualification. This is how you apply. This is how.
And as of today, it's still a plan.
Let's
just do it. But for now, it's still a plan. Oh, we are planning to. We shall call upon. We shall sign agreements. We are planning.
I don't know. Very soon we are going to. Meanwhile, talking about Kenyans and abroad, Uasin Gishu Senator Jackson Mandago, who is the immediate former governor of Uasin Gishu, has admitted that the Finland airlift program was not a scholarship. But the county just called it a scholarship to make it easy,
For what? Okay, sorry.
For the process.
Just let's call it a scholarship. It is, but let's just call it one. Okay.
He told a highly charged meeting in Eldoret town that an agreement was reached to register the overseas study program as a scholarship because it was easier to have it labeled as such, although parents were required to pay fees. The former governor, who pioneered the program that has been marred with controversy, said registering the program as a scholarship was meant to make things easy. Registering it as a scholarship, he said verbatim, would enable students evade hurdles, including requirements of producing bank statements, and they'd also get the advantage of guaranteed visas. We are revealing this information today because a lot of information is now in the public domain. Sasa wacha tuambie tu ukweli. Ukweli, hii kitu siweke kwa lungs. Weka kwa roho. It's the other way around now.
It's like saying...
We wanted... You see, if we call it scholarship, these guys go to the Finnish embassy, they will get visas chap. If we call it scholarship, these guys will now they'll move. If we call it programs, there'll be stories.
So when you were telling them that it's called scholarship, you did not expect that they would actually think it's a scholarship. It's like saying there's an animal here, it's a chicken. It's actually a dog, but let's call it a chicken. Then one day...
we called it a dog. We called it a chicken, so that now, it can fit in a coop.
Then one day it crows. As now, it crows for you.
Jesus.
My Lord in heaven. What do you mean? We called it a scholarship so that it would be easy to do what now?
He's saying registering it would enable students to evade hurdles, including requirement of producing bank statements, and would also get the advantage of guaranteed visa. Basically, they were gaming the system.
Yes.
They were playing the Finnish embassy.
It was a lie. Scam.
The embassy of Finland looked at the scholarship by county.
Visa.
Don't bring bank statement. Don't bring all those things. Just come and go. As the senator who was accompanied by Governor Jonathan B. and his deputy John Barrot made this revelation, emotions ran high as parents who've been agitating for a refund of the millions spent in the botched program narrated how their lives had changed after losing their hard-earned money while their children are still stranded at home. Some of the elderly parents who addressed the leaders by their middle names, Kiplagat for Mandago, Kimeli for Governor B, asked the leaders to be sincere and stop taking them in circles. We sold all our assets. Some parents have become tenants because they sold the last piece of their land for this program, and they have now gone back to renting. Our children are depressed as parents battle illnesses that they did not have before. What we demand to know is, how long will our children wait here while our lives remain stagnant? This Kiplagat man, who is also called Mandago, admitted that things changed when one parent went to visit her children in Finland and came back home with allegations that the Finnish government offers free education. The embassy got wind of the allegations and began questioning this program. They then changed requirements and began asking for bank statements. Visas, which were being processed within 2 weeks, started delaying. He said parents were also required to pay accommodation for 6 months, unlike before, when they would only pay for 3 months. Sasa hii mambo yote kalete shida. Sasa ndio maana tuko mahali tuko.
Sasa tunataka pesa na tunataka watoto waende shule. So now,
well, let's see how this one unfolds. Good morning. 7 a.m. Time for the news.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. The International Criminal Court prosecutor Karim Khan has recused himself from all Kenyan cases. This emerged Monday following a round that kicked off over the weekend after Mr. Khan made a visit to Kenya, where he attended a graduation ceremony on Friday at Mount Kenya University. The office of the prosecutor, the Hague-based court, confirmed that Khan was in Kenya on a private visit, further revealing that he withdrew himself from Kenyan cases to prevent any conflict of interest that may arise following his previous assignments, which include representing now President William Ruto at the Hague-based court. Leaders allied to the Azimio la Umoja coalition have raised concerns about the presence of International Criminal Court prosecutor Karim Khan in the country. Azimio leaders claim that Khan's visit to Kenya could compromise investigations on police brutality in the country. And the Senate ad hoc committee pushing for the compensation to families of Kenyan victims of the August 7th, 1998 bombings of the U.S. Embassy in Nairobi is set to meet their United States counterpart for compensation plans next month. Dr. Romona Tosco, a member of the U.S. Embassy, stated that she is following up on the compensation plans for Kenyan victims. According to her, the U.S. citizen victims of the bombings have been compensated. The 19 members committee, led by Machakos County Senator Agnes Kavindu, says that it has been 25 years since the bomb blast occurred, and up to date the victims have never been compensated. And President William Ruto is today expected to meet all Mount Kenya elected leaders as he continues with his tour of the region. The president's schedule will see him launch projects, the main one being the opening of a new KCC dairy factory in Kiganjo. Later, he will meet the leaders at the Sagana State Lodge, where agriculture and business issues will take center stage. Yesterday, the president launched several government projects in Nyeri County, accompanied by his deputy Rigathi Gachagua and Majority Leader in the National Assembly Kimani Ichung'wah. He dismissed the demands from the opposition that IEBC servers be opened for investigations. According to the president, the elections were concluded.
Tumekubaliana ya kwamba uchaguzi ilimalizika tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8. Kwani uchaguzi kuna yenye ilibaki hapa Tetu mnataka kufanya hivi karibuni? Si mlimaliza ya MCA na ya mbunge na ya senator, hata ya rais mlimaliza. Sasa kuna watu wengine wanatuambia ati iko story nyingine sijui ya saba. Sasa tumewaambia hawa watu wacheni mchezo. Ama namna gani? Wacheni kutuhadaa. Mambo ya uchaguzi tulimaliza.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua also denied any possibility of a handshake, a statement emphasized by the Majority Leader in the National Assembly, Kimani Ichung'wah.
Na rais wetu hapa katika Tetu na hii Nyeri yetu. Hapa Tetu wao ni watoto ya maumau. Mambo wangetaka wakuambie na wamekuambia rais. Uliona wamenyamaza tu wanakuangalia. Hiyo maneno ya handshake hii watu hawataki. Ama mnataka?
Na nusu mkate ishindwe. Na handshake. Handshake. Ati handshake. Ishindwe. Bas. Nyinyi kama mmesema hiyo ni amri rais.
In addition, Kenya Council leaders have maintained that the cost of living will not be discussed in the talks, as the government has already put in place strategies to produce enough food in the country. These while the leaders leading the mediation talks on the opposition side met to discuss several issues before their meeting with their Kenya Council counterparts Wednesday this week, which is tomorrow, at the Bomas of Kenya. Now, the National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah says the government and the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition have agreed on meeting at the Bomas of Kenya. However, reiterated that the cost of living will not feature on the talks. Meanwhile, leaders from both Kenya Kwanza Alliance and Azimio la Umoja are being urged to prioritize the interest of all Kenyans as they engage in the bipartisan talks that are expected to start this week. These as both camps accuse each other of frustrating dialogue efforts ahead of the much anticipated talks between the government and the opposition. Kakamega Governor Fernandez Baraza has urged the political leaders sitting at the negotiation table to prioritize issues affecting Kenyans. Speaking in Malaba constituency, Baraza underscored the importance of transparency during the discussions, urging leaders to set aside political differences. This as a section of Coast MPs allied to the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition accused the Kenya counterparts of being insincere. And the High Court has declined to vary orders by the Court of Appeal allowing the implementation of the Finance Act 2023. The three-judge bench consisting of David Majanja, Lawrence Mugambi and Christian Meoli stated that they have no powers to entertain the applications filed by the Law Society of Kenya and Human Rights Commission. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
Spice FM, Nakuru.
Okay, let's do. All right, traffic in different parts of the city this morning starting to build up. We're looking at it on the Thika Superhighway and on Jogo Road as well as you go into the city. It's heavy on Landis, and just like that, magic, poof, we've seen traffic on the Thika Superhighway build up on Kiambu Road, on Waiyaki Way, getting into the CBD. James Gishore is also packing up, and then there's indications of traffic then coming onto Limuru Road. I mean, a lot can happen in 30 minutes, can't it? As you're getting into the CBD via the Globe Cinema overpass, underpass, that's all happening, and it's going to get pretty busy as you come into the CBD. On North Airport Road, going towards the Eastern Bypass, stopping at that junction, going towards Outer Ring, that's also busy. Eastern Bypass heading in the direction of Ruai is busy as well. Okay, let's see what happens. We're getting into traffic hour proper in no time. Talk to us on Spice FM KE on Twitter. We're trying to keep things moving this morning.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start
7 minutes
your
after
day.
7. Good morning and welcome to the second hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. This is The Situation Room. Eric Latiff and Ndu Okoh. C.T. Muga is out there enjoying some bit of a holiday, and he's watching what?
He's watching Cartoonito.
I love
He
it
is.
for
In
you.
fact, he's watching Alvin and the Chipmunks. Everyone's favorite chipmunks, Alvin, Simone, and Theodore, are back with a fantastic new season of the classic animated series Alvin and the Chipmunks. The three chipmunk brothers are famous rock stars who tour around the world with their best friends, the Chipettes. The new season started in July and it's on Nickelodeon, DSTV channel 304. Open your kids to this wonder-filled world on DSTV to get this and more world-class kids content from over 15 dedicated channels. Feel all the adventure and fun exclusively with DSTV. Dial *423# and download my DSTV app to get a DSTV decoder for 1 month of family for just 2,999 shillings.
Yeah. It's a cold morning in Nairobi. It's very cold in Limuru. It was 6 degrees
At 6
about
a.m.
40 minutes ago.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So the people of Limuru, how you warm yourself up is by getting out and jogging. And as you jog, you're preparing yourself for the 20th edition of the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon. Have you registered? www.nairobimarathon.com. That's where you register for this year's run. 2,000 shillings is what you need. Kenya's largest single-day athletics event back this year, taking place on the 29th of October at Uhuru Gardens. That's where the flag off will be. We run along the Southern Bypass. Choose your race. You want to do the full marathon, 42 kilometers. All right, be their guest. You want to do the half marathon, 21 kilometers? It's okay. 10 kilometers? It's all right. 5 kilometers? Is all good. It is what you decide you want to do. Just go to nairobimarathon.com, register today for that to happen. Our next guest is from the Baraza Media Hub. She is a program manager for a program called Fumbua, Wanjiro Ngohe. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. It's good to be back. Yes.
It's good to be back.
It's good to be back.
Last time you were here, we were talking about misinformation, disinformation.
Yes.
And what was happening, particularly political content.
Yes.
And how people need to watch themselves over that. Then also there's a COVID content and how people need to basically be aware and alert. Today we are still talking about misinformation, disinformation, but specific to something. And this is what's been happening on social media regarding some products. And yesterday, the Pharmacy and Poisons Board actually came out to warn Kenyans against these products. We'll talk about them shortly. To welcome you to the show, let me give you today's proverb. It's from West Africa. These countries of Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, there's a people called the Songhai people. It used to be the Songhai Empire.
Yeah.
So the proverb goes, salt cannot glorify itself in the sauce. Salt cannot glorify or praise itself in the sauce. What's your understanding and interpretation of this?
Oh wow, salt cannot glorify. Like salt just salt. It like it doesn't need to glorify itself. You will tell that there was salt or there was no salt. It really doesn't need to announce itself. Like you're either salty or you're not. I think this applies to people as well. When you're salty, you're salty. Yeah. So I think if something is good, then it doesn't need to announce itself. We can see that it's a good thing.
Chema cha jiuza.
Kibaya cha jitembeza.
There you go.
I remember Swahili. Look at that.
Doing very well.
I'm so proud.
Okay. So on the 1st of August, you as Fumbua released a statement, and I'm just going to read a bit of it.
Yeah.
A report released today reveals that Google, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram are permitting the advertising and sale of unapproved and dangerous medical treatments to women in Kenya. These treatments exploit misinformation about health and pose a significant risk to the women who purchase them. The investigations highlight the global failure of tech giants to protect women in Kenya against such predatory marketing. And this is quoting you as having said this. Immediate action needs to be taken to ensure tech companies take responsibility for the safety of their users as they claim that they do with the rules that they set for themselves. Yesterday, there was a statement from the Pharmacy and Poisons Board signed by the Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Sioi. The Pharmacy and Poisons Board wishes to advise the general public against the use of a product known as yoni pearls, which may also be referred to as vaginal detox pearls, herbal tampons, cleansing pearls, or vaginal pearls. The PPB notifies the public that yoni pearls is neither registered nor authorized for use in Kenya as required under the Pharmacy and Poisons Act, and therefore their usage poses potential public health risks as the PPB cannot guarantee their quality, safety, or efficacy. In this light, the PPB strongly advises against the distribution, supply, sale, or use of the aforementioned product and any other unregistered products with similar claims. This is a big one.
It's huge.
Okay, now give us the background.
Okay, so the background to the report.
Yes.
Okay, so as you know, I know we were here when we launched Fumbua, and what we were intending to do with Fumbua was to create awareness about mis and disinformation that was going on. And at that time, particularly, it was during the elections. And so, you see, once the election ended, we usually have this thing of looking at society through election, like through the lens of an election, especially when you're working in this space, like civic and whatever, and like this other space. You tend to look at it from an election. And so the question was what, we've been doing advocacy with platforms, especially during the elections, where we were calling on platforms to tighten their content moderation, to tighten their labeling on Twitter. And that did not work the way we thought it was going to work. So we asked ourselves, okay, what happens now that the elections are over? What can we do to help the society? Because it's not just election. There, mis and disinformation is also a social thing. Like the way we process information, the way we share information, it's not just political, it is a social thing. And this was the one thing that stuck out for us. It was what is going on in the sexual and reproductive health space, because there's a lot of disinformation going on there. And like I was explaining to you earlier, mis and disinformation is not a new thing. We've had people tell each other lies like over the years. The problem that we are facing now is that it is being amplified at a rate that is it's dangerous right now. I could be sitting here in Kenya and I think about something and I share it, and people across the globe are going to either believe it or do something about it. And we thought, since there's a lot of mis and disinformation in the SRH, what is really going on, and who can we hold responsible? Of course, there are many layers of responsibility. When it comes to social media platforms, there is the person who's using it and the person who's posting it. Then there's the platform itself, and then there's the government, right? And so for me, every time I'm looking at responsibility, it's always in those three: the personal responsibility, institutional responsibility, and structural responsibility. And so we went for institutional responsibility, where we are holding the platforms accountable. Because number one, if these adverts were not on Facebook and Instagram as amplified as they were, then so many women would not have the information that they can actually use these piles, and it would do all these things for them, which is actually not true. That's why we're calling it disinformation, because it is harmful, and these lies are being spread deliberately because they're trying to take advantage of the fact that conversations about sexual health are not really we're not having these conversations, like we're having them in hushed tones. The closest we ever got to having like a public conversation about sexual health and reproductive rights was during my Always experience, which I was very happy to be a part of, where we were just calling out, brands for giving us terrible pads, especially in Africa. And after that, we've not had like public conversations about our sexual health. And I feel like this is a part that is being exploited, and also the fact that women, there's a certain pressure for you to be a certain way, for you to be sexual, to be healthy, to look like you're reproductively attractive. I don't know where this comes from. I don't even know what. Yeah. So this was very, very important to us. It was also important to me personally because I was involved in my Always experience, and I'm always against the culture of shaming and the culture of especially shaming women for their bodies and what their bodies, what the kind are supposed to do, what they're supposed to smell like, what they're supposed to. So this was just for us. It was. Let's go with this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then something must have catalyzed this action, right? Because these products have been in the space for years.
Yes.
It's not a 2003 thing.
No, it's not.
Right?
Yeah.
They've been used, they've been marketed, they've been sold across the world, not just in Kenya.
Yes.
So what was the spark that then suddenly they're not healthy? What happened? Did somebody get sick? Was it then traced back to these pearls? Did somebody from the medical profession say, actually, no, folks, we shouldn't be using this? Or has there been information that has been put out over years that maybe is duller than the marketing information, and then now it's making its debut?
Yes, actually, yoni pearls have been banned in several countries. And to come to Kenya and see that these things are being advertised freely, we have groups with over 200,000 people selling these things. These groups are being amplified onto your feed. So whether or not you want to see them, you will see them on your feed because they are paying for adverts. Meta is taking money, from these adverts. So there was a spike in the number of groups, and we thought, okay, this thing has been banned in several countries. Why is it that it's being sold here? And why is the advertising so so out there? There are no community guidelines whatsoever being enforced here. Why are these things being yet these things are actually dangerous? They've been banned in different countries, in various countries. And so why is Facebook allowing the adverts of this thing? Because it's the adverts that then creates the hyper visibility and amplification of these things.
So you say there's a breach of community guidelines.
There's a breach of community guidelines, yes.
Community guidelines.
The community guidelines that prevent the adverts of harmful products. Like, for example, you cannot wake up to sell like medicine for example, to kill, yes, like you cannot.
So these are guidelines that have been developed by Facebook.
Yes.
And when you join Facebook, you basically tick the box.
Yeah, well, although we hardly read this.
But you tick the box to accept these guidelines.
Accept these guidelines,
What do the guidelines say specifically that would relate to this particular matter?
The guidelines, okay, so like I said, there are different levels of responsibility. There is obviously where, like, if you post, for example, something, like, for example, you're trying to harm someone, Facebook will not allow you to post. I don't know if you've seen that. Normally, what is supposed to happen if you put?
Well, I haven't seen it. I haven't.
Oh, you haven't tried
to say, I will kill someone.
You should just say, I will murder you. If you just write, I will murder you.
wouldn't.
even no, I'm saying like even if it's a joke, you know the way someone makes a joke and you write on Facebook, I will kill, or someone has whatever, like for whatever reason, if you will not be able to post that because it goes against the community guidelines.
Yes.
So what is supposed to happen is that number one, we should be having tighter content moderation, which is supposed to flag this kind of content. So whenever you put out where Facebook itself, like where Meta itself has not flagged this, the content moderators should be able to say, okay, this has been flagged and we need to take it out.
So how would Facebook know that this particular product is harmful?
They would know that by
because I can post anything today. I can actually start selling product that's legit off the shelves of Kenya.
Yes,
right?
if it is legit off
and
the shelves of Kenya, yes, then you
How
can
would
post
Facebook
it.
know that this is legit and this is not legit?
Because you see, this is not one. These things have been banned in other countries. This thing is poisonous. This thing is actually harmful to women.
Which countries?
USA, Canada. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So once you know that a product has been banned in another country, why would you permit the sale of the state product in a particular country?
Until yesterday, had the government of Kenya communicated anything about this particular product?
Yeah.
Had it?
No, it hadn't communicated.
Okay.
We saw the communication yesterday.
So if you are a moderator and you're looking at content within Kenya,
yes,
how would you know that this product is harmful in Kenya?
Unless the poisons board, and that is when I was saying there's a structural part of it, which is now the government, and then there's the institutional part of it. Now that Facebook is aware that these things are harmful, what we now want to see next from them is, since now you're aware that this thing is harmful, and we have showed the report that these things are being advertised on your platform, then take it down.
Basically, what I'm trying to arrive at here is, like you said, there are three layers.
Yes.
There's the user.
Yes.
Then there's the platform itself.
Yes.
And there's the government.
And then there's the government.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
So at user, this is community level.
Yes.
You
it is
join this particular community and you're interacting. And the platform is basically created to enhance that interaction.
Yes.
Among community members.
Yes.
And tries to see, so who else fits this community and tries to even introduce that community to you, the other members into this community. That's the whole essence of the social media platforms.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So the members of a community are engaging.
Yes.
There's the community guidelines that says, I mean, you cannot do things that would harm one another.
Yeah, you cannot sell things that can harm one another. Yeah.
Yes. Now, the things that would harm one another are then, there must be a matrix of determining what is harmful and what's not.
Yeah.
Globally, it's acknowledged that things that would be talking about violence against children, murder and such things, harmful. If we start having a conversation that, we are going to start buying and selling land, if certain members of the community believe that this is a con, that is for them to flag it.
Yeah.
And there are guidelines and provisions on how to flag.
Yes.
If you find that this is is going against the community guidelines, flag it.
Yeah.
And then the platform then comes in and reviews, right?
Yeah.
Is this actually harmful? If it is, completely takes it down, cautions the community member. So it's then the community that should be able to flag it. So in this particular case, if community members have not flagged this, if community members are saying, well, yeah, we are participating in this, we're finding this product, it's working for us, or they're looking at it and thinking, well, I have nothing against it.
Except the product
Why are
was
you
not
putting responsibility on the platform?
Except the product, because of the amplification of this lie, because of the fact that you're taking adverts from a product that is actually harming women.
But
this product is actually, that is why we are calling it
that's why the question I started with was zero.
Yes.
How would the platform know that this product is harmful if A, the government has not told it that this product is harmful,
but the community,
and B, the community has not said that this product is harming us?
The community has said that the product is harming us, but this is what usually happens when you amplify something on social media. For example, the testimonials of people who have had negative will not be seen. What will be seen are the groups that are selling it, are the testimonials that actually work for the product. And this is where now platform accountability comes. You cannot just amplify the thing, it's the amplification that we have a problem with. It's the business model that we have a problem with, because once once you start saying that this thing is harmful, and yet you have already boosted a post that says that this thing is actually very helpful, which one are you going to see first? You're not going to see the people who are saying that the product is harmful to them. You're going to see the people who have positive, disinformed, opinions about these things. And yet these are just marketers and sellers who are saying that this thing is wonderful, this thing is perfect, it has helped me in this particular way, because of the advert and what is being amplified by the platforms.
Okay, what would happen in this case if we've seen that the Poisons Board then came out yesterday and said, certain things and said, look,
this thing is poisonous,
and we're discouraging people from using it anymore.
Note, the Poisons Board has the power to ban
that's what I was just about to say. They've not banned the product. They've discouraged people from using it based on 1, 2, 3. If it was something that they deemed to be like that, would they not actually come? Because it's not the first time that we've seen them speak. And in previous times, they've been a lot more hard-hitting and said, look, absolutely not. Stop it now. Stop the sale. Stop the purchase. Stop the stocking. Stop the distribution. It contains harmful 1, 2, 3. And they've been very clear about that. We've not seen such hard language with this particular one.
Of this particular product.
Why would that be?
Then I think also the medical professionals also need to weigh in and say why this thing is harmful, why we should not be doing this. They need to also come out very so, because also when we're looking at disinformation, it's not just a one sector kind of thing. We also need like the professionals to come in and say this thing is harmful because of this, that and the other. And the fact that that has not happened, we hope that that will continue to happen, and that we will not have and we will not have women using harmful products. So there are so many layers to this thing, and there's so many layers of accountability here. And so I want to see that happening.
Do platforms have a responsibility to find out about, because this is not in most cases there are vendors, right? Who access and who use the platform to sell their products or to sell their services. The platform being, like Meta, for example, or anybody else,
or you,
right?
or Google, or
exactly. So So do these platforms have a responsibility to take a fine-tooth comb through every sale that a vendor is making, or through every product that a vendor could be selling? Because we see everything short of selling human heads on these platforms that are being sold. Is the platform responsible for saying, okay, Eric, Latiff and Sons is selling 1, 2, 3. Has this been banned anywhere? Do they have that responsibility to do that? Or is their responsibility to make sure that everybody's playing in a safe environment generally?
Yes, the responsibility is to make sure that everyone is playing in a safe environment generally. But where you're going to take advertisement money, don't you want to know what people are advertising on this platform? How do you verify an advert? Because during elections, they were saying they will not accept political adverts, right? So why is it that when we are selling harmful products to women, then now we are now looking at it from a fine-tooth comb? Why doesn't that, yes?
You are calling it harmful.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yes.
The community members who are placing adverts and all are not calling it harmful.
That's because they're selling. They're selling it. Why would you?
Those that are purchasing are not calling it harmful.
Those that have purchased it are calling it harmful.
The government has not called it harmful.
The Poisons Board has come out. They've discouraged the sale of this
until
thing.
yesterday.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about by the time you're releasing your statement on the 1st of August, the government has not called it harmful. You're the one who's calling it harmful and saying that now they have a responsibility because people are selling harmful products. And that's why I started by asking you, how would the platform know that this is harmful? Specific to products.
I mean, because they are harmful, because people have said that they are harmful. The people who've used it have said that they have come out to say, we've used this thing and this thing is harmful to me. The people, why you will not see that is because the people who are buying these adverts are saying a completely different story, and that is what you will hear. But when you really listen to the women who've used these products, they will tell you that these things are harmful.
We advertise soda on radio.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
There are many people in the world who come up and say various things about specific soda brands and saying that these soda brands are harmful.
Yes.
Should we stop advertising the soda brands?
Well,
yet they haven't been banned by the government.
They haven't been banned by the government because also this is it's a business conversation. It's a conversation about who's making the most money, who's making it where, who's paying the taxes, who's doing these things. So there's also the capitalist, conversation about money, who makes the most money, who pays the most taxes.
So from where you sit,
yes.
Should we stop advertising soda?
We shouldn't. How harmful is it?
The government has not called it harmful.
Okay.
We operate in a regulated environment, and the regulator has not said this is a harmful product.
But you see, you cannot compare the harms of yoni piles and like that. Those are like two very different conversations. Those
How?
are two different. Those are two different conversations.
Both are harming the body, supposedly.
Yes, both are harming the
human body, supposedly. Okay?
Yeah.
But in both cases, up until yesterday, the government has not come out to say this is not approved.
So it means then we were advertising for something that has not been approved on I know, and this is why I say there's an institutional and then there's a structural. When one fails, then it doesn't matter what these others do. But because now this one has failed, so we hold this one to account and then forcing this other one to come into the picture and say, listen, this thing is harmful, stop the advertisement, stop the advertisement of this thing. Because also there are different layers of accountability. Sometimes the government may fail to see something that is flagged off by people, like what we did, and say this thing is harmful, it's being advertised on this platform. We need to see accountability. But so we are happy that the Poisons Board has spoken about it. What we now want to see is it now being taken down, from the platforms.
So if we're playing in the arena of information, misinformation, and disinformation, essentially what I hear you to be saying is that some of the ads that we see, right, with what a lot of vendors use called testimonials, people talking about what this thing has done for me. Are we saying that those also may be created to give people an impression that is not necessarily true?
Yes, that happens a lot. That really, really, really happens a lot. And I'm happy that you're asking about the government, like what is the responsibility of the government? Because what we are seeing is that government is playing catch up to what is going on the platforms. So like they're not, because you will not see something coming in until it is now a problem, like what was happening with what is this thing with WorldCoin. It came in, they had offices, they had even policemen guiding the lines until the government said, oh wait, this thing is because you're playing catch up. And so just to answer your question, yes, anything that you see online being sold, you have to be a bit more careful about it, because people are using lies to sell things. We know that for a fact. People will be using even this coming of lands and things like that. People will say this is valid, there's a valid title, and then you buy it and then you realize that it has been scammed. Yes, it is going on. And so apart from asking people to do their verification and to do their due diligence, there's also the layer of accountability that now comes with the platforms. If you're going to put an advert, can we at least make sure that these adverts, one, are within the community guidelines, and once someone has flagged it, can it be taken off? And then now to the government to say, can we have a more regulated space? Do we know how many platforms and how are they operating? Can the government actually summon them to ask them about content moderation, to ask them about what is your role in some of this, even like post-election, the post-election tension? Can the government actually summon these platforms? And we haven't gotten to that point where the government can, and I think we should. We should get to that point where they're actually not just accountable to us as the users, but they're also accountable to government.
And because the laws of the land.
Yes, and the laws because they are, like they're taking our money, so you can't say that you're not bound by our laws. And so we also like what is going on with the case, at the in court, the SAM and the Facebook case. It gives us an opportunity to hold them accountable to some extent, and we hope that we can expand this precedence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Accountability of social media platforms. That's the conversation we're having this morning. Wanjiru Ngohe is the program manager for Fumbua, which is a program under the Baraza Media Lab. She and the others at Fumbua raised concern about the yoni pearls that are being advertised on social media, and many people were coming out on various platforms, even one-on-one, and saying that these things are working. Others are saying they are not working. Yesterday, the Poisons Board said, please, we discourage you. The Poisons Board actually did not ban this thing, which is another question. We discourage you against buying such harmful products. 27 minutes to 8, time for that break. Nyumba yangu, no, not nyumba, it's boma.
Well done.
It's boma
yangu nunua nyumba.
Boma yangu inakusaidia kunyunua nyumba yako. Bomayangu.go.ke is the government's affordable housing platform. Please log on and register. Register on bomayangu.go.ke, or you can also dial *832#.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If a lion shows you its teeth, it doesn't mean it likes you.
It doesn't mean it likes you. It won't start. A liar calls as witness one who is either dead or far away. Say it in
been low nin inte iyo nin dheer ayuu markhaati ka dhigtaa. You know this character called liar. He has disturbed people. So when you tell him who are your witnesses, he will take you to a place where it is difficult to verify.
For someone like me who sweats a lot, I cannot survive there. Sweating is biblical. Good. And you must blame it on Adam, not me. Because Adam messed up and he was told, "No, you fellow, you, by the sweat of your brow, thou shalt eat."
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
It's sunny in Nairobi for a change at 12, highs of 23 and lows of 12 today. It's mostly sunny at 13 in Nakuru, highs of 26. 22 will be the high and mostly sunny in Nyeri at 12, and 11 and sunny in Eldoret, going to highs of 22. We'll see highs of 28 in Mombasa, where the sun is up as well, and it's sunny in Malindi at 23, going to highs of 28. 29 will be the high in a sunny Kisumu, and in Kakamega, you guessed it, it's sunny as well at 17, highs of 28 and lows of 16. Partly sunny at 19 in Kampala, highs of 27, and 30 will be the high in a sunny Dar es Salaam at 23. It's 6 degrees and clear in Johannesburg, highs of 21, and it's partly cloudy at 25. In Lagos, going to highs of 30. 32 will be the high in a mostly cloudy Kinshasa, currently at 21.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's pretty busy on Jogoo Road this morning, and it's leading towards Landis, which is heavy inbound, touching on Kamkunji and then on to Haile Selassie. Gong Road is busy, and they all will meet in the city centre this morning. Uhuru Highway is busy as you get into the city and then out towards Westlands, and there is the Thika Road traffic, which is heavy just past Survey. You're past the service lanes right about now, so you're just going to have to stick to the trickle of traffic heading into the city. Kiambu Road is busy, coming off the Northern Bypass, is also going through towards Ruaka and onto Limuru Road. Looking at traffic coming out of Westlands on Waiyaki Way, it's going to chug along towards the Westlands roundabout, going towards the expressway or then into the city. Not too terrible for a Tuesday morning. We'll keep an eye on things as we're getting into traffic hour proper right about now. Let's see what happens about half hour or so. Talk to us on Spice FM KE on Twitter.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
The conversation continues with Wanjiru Gohe from Baraza Media Lab. She's the program manager for Fumbua. They raised the concern on the 1st of August with regards to the advertisement and promotion of products called Yoni Pearls on social media and in the community. And yesterday, the Poisons Board came out and discouraged people from particularly purchasing or using any of these products. Now, Wanjiru is here because you're talking about concern and what people should be doing, what people should know about, misinformation and disinformation. When you see information on platforms, then what's your responsibility as a person to actually authenticate that this, whatever is being sold, is genuine, is real? What is the responsibility of the platform? If you hear an advert on Spice FM today, what's the responsibility of Spice FM?
Yes.
What's the responsibility of government as the overall regulator of all these things? Now, you have specific focus on the responsibility of the platforms. Where does it start? Where does it end? Right.
Yes.
So in such cases where communities, people are basically just coming onto the communities and they're transforming them into marketplaces and you're selling things, and in some cases you boost a particular post because you're selling your product. So what should a platform do before accepting your money to boost it?
What the platform should do before accepting your money is to first of all verify that the thing that it is that you're advertising, one, it is illegal, two, it is registered. And this is why it is very important to talk about content moderation, because content moderation is contextual to every specific country. And that is the thing that we're saying, okay, we're not telling people, because also we do not want to limit the freedom of expression. We want to create a like, if we are all now on the online platform, it needs to be safe. You cannot say that because we all have roads and we all know how to drive, then we do not abide by traffic rules, right? Yeah. So if you're going to, one, as a consumer, as a person who's reading the thing, you can only do so much to verify. You can only verify to the nini of your to the level of what you know and the information that you have. When we move over to the platforms now have to make sure that the things that we're not being scammed, like things that we could actually avoid being scammed on, and that is now where the issue of content moderation comes in, where you actually have enough content moderators within various fields and who can speak various languages, well remunerated, well paid for, because also the work of content moderators is really hectic. And then now we have the government that is supposed to create a framework and a regulatory framework that not only just protects the citizens themselves, but also holds these platforms to a much more higher standard, where we know by the time you're getting into the Kenyan online space, like the government already knows your license, and you can be held accountable to our laws. Yeah. You cannot, you cannot run away from accountability by saying, but we're not a Kenyan company, yet you are taking Kenyan money. We're really pushing, we're really saying, please, can the government come in? Because there's also so much platform accountability we can do. And at some point, it ceases to even make any sense when there's no regulatory framework where these platforms can actually be held accountable. So there are many layers of responsibility. Some of them are broken, especially the higher up you go. But here we are doing.
Sure. So if the government holds the responsibility for regulation, it doesn't really matter who you are, whatever it is that you're selling, whether it is just offering up a platform for people to then come and vend.
Yes.
If they hold that responsibility, that means essentially that the fine lines then all of them must be looked through.
Must be looked through, yes.
So because in some of these cases, we can only act after the fact. If a piece of information has come out,
unfortunately,
then you think, okay, well, this has been around for some time, so let's put out what the Poisons Board put out yesterday and say, let's discourage this. Can we assume then that there's further due diligence that they will then be doing in terms of testing this, in terms of then going back and saying, actually, we should check what's going on here before they then come back and give some information? Should we assume that? And in the meantime, should the vending continue to be, because one could argue that we've not been told not to sell. We've not been told that people should not use this. All you get is a warning. After all, we see warnings all over the place.
All over the place,
Smoking is bad for your health. If you want to keep smoking, that's up to you.
But you know that smoking is bad for your health. The thing with the Unipads, that they did not know that it was harmful. So something like a disclaimer, like you see what they're doing with Twitter, what are they called? The commentary. It's not the commentary. The thing like when it's a headline and then there's a what is it called? The description.
They put a disclaimer.
They put a disclaimer. So if something like that would work, now you're aware. If you sell from this person, this thing could actually be poisonous for you. So that now when you make your choice, now we are now back to the personal responsibility. Our problem is not even with it is with the vendors who are selling, but our greatest problem is with the advertisement and the amplification of this thing. There's no disclaimer, there's no nothing. So you're scrolling, you're having problems in your mind or whatever could be going on. You want whatever it is that could be going on. You see an advert, there's no disclaimer, there's no nothing. You cannot even see the negative reviews of this thing because of the adverts and the boosting and so and then you buy it and then it harms you. So now we now have to come back and say, so a disclaimer would be really helpful.
But then we'd have to disclaim everything. I mean, then it should just be obvious that
buyer
whatever
beware.
Yes,
buyer beware.
It's a buyer beware
it's a
kind
buyer
of
beware
society.
situation.
Let's just put it this way. Say City and I set up this new look kind of shopping centers, right?
Yeah.
Containers, and we have a nice setup and the security, and we've provided ample parking, and we are letting out shops. Somebody has a butchery, somebody has whatever they're calling a pharmacy, somebody else is doing a salon, and beauty product, somebody else is doing vegetables, groceries. Now, is it my responsibility as the platform owner to vet each of my vendors? To know you are a butcher, the nyama that you're selling here is legit.
Zebra.
It's not zebra, it's not dog, it's only meat that has been classified as meat by the government of Kenya.
Yeah.
It has come from this particular slaughterhouse, it has been inspected, it has followed all due process by the time it gets to your butchery. Is it
Yes.
my responsibility?
Who has a platform?
Yeah.
It is, well, as the platform.
I'm the owner of this shopping mall.
You're the owner of the shopping mall. As the owner of the shopping, you don't just get into the country and do a shopping mall without having registered with the government and all of these things.
Yes, I have.
And that is why we are saying that there's a structural and there's an institutional. So can we? So now, when we do the structural responsibility properly, the platforms will abide to this structural.
Yeah.
To this structure. So when one breaks, then it is very difficult to enforce this, even at a personal level.
But that's what I'm saying. You see,
Yeah.
as the person who has the shops and I'm letting out the shops, somebody has come and said, I want to start a butchery.
But the minute someone says that this meat is poisonous, then you cannot continue to sell it.
See, I'm not the one selling. It is this person who's selling.
Yes. You only have the mall.
I have only lent them space in my mall. Okay? So I'm the platform. This is the user. And they are paying me so that they can operate from this particular slot.
Yes, you're taking their money.
Now,
Yes.
until community members come and say, huyu mtu anauza nyamba ya umbwa, I would not know.
Yes.
And I don't have a responsibility to actually authenticate that this butchery is selling legitimate meat.
But if people have told you, if people have come to you with legitimate
when
concerns,
one person
the
comes and
community,
says,
yes.
can I shut down the butchery? Can I say, please, I am not no longer going to be your landlord because one person came and said, there has to be a threshold, right?
Yes, yes.
Of the number of people who come out to say that hii nyama ya hii butcher ni mbaya. Then I, as the landlord, now has to talk to my tenant, the butcher, and tell them there are concerns.
Yes.
And I'm going to cancel your lease.
Yes.
Or whatever action
As
that I'm
you
going to
should.
take. Right?
As you should.
But then
yes.
there's a threshold.
Yes.
Sindio?
Yes.
If more people are coming there to say, I love this nyama from this, in fact, there are long queues every day, and only 10 people are complaining, I look at the long queue and not the 10 people.
But you see, for this particular advert, it's not about 10 people or women have actually been hospitalized for these things. And the way we did this report, we were not doing the report to focus on the women because also we do not want to have the conversation about the actual product because we are not about the actual product. For us, the main point of the conversation was about the platforms.
Yes.
What are you advertising? What are you amplifying? Are you amplifying harm? Are you amplifying products that are going to harm people despite having been complaints that these products are harmful? What is your responsibility as a platform?
Which is where I'm coming in. Just a minute.
Yeah.
Which is where I'm coming in.
Yes.
I see exactly what you're saying.
Yes.
And I also agree that there's a level of responsibility.
There is a level of
It is
responsibility.
the level
yes.
that you are assigning to the platform that I am not sure I agree with.
Okay.
Okay? Because it appears to me that you're saying that for as long as there was a comment, somebody said I was hospitalized because I used this
But it
product.
wasn't one comment,
Okay,
though.
as long as they had 5 comments. But those
You're
5
really
comments,
minimizing.
those 5 comments haven't been verified that these people were hospitalized because of using the product that was basically bought from this particular because of this advert. How do we trace back? How does a platform trace back? They've created a way in which the community can report community guidelines, right?
Yes.
If community members feel that there is harm, they flag.
They flag, yes.
There's a threshold, I'm sure, that they use. If we see the X number of flags, then clearly there's an issue.
Yes.
If we haven't hit that threshold, we are monitoring and observing. Now, you seem to be saying that they should lower that threshold. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
No, I'm not saying we should lower the threshold. I'm saying first I agree with you. Yes, there is a level of responsibility. At the beginning when I started having this conversation, when we were talking about, the pressure that women have to be a certain way, to look hygienic, to look all of these things, there's also that gray area that we're not really, talking about, over here. And it's because of these silences and these cultures and this shaming that we might not have like the 100,000 comments, because the last time we saw that was during my Always experience, and even then it has taken time even for the past to rebrand, because it takes time for even women to be heard on these platforms. When you listen to people who've talked about being cyberbullied, they will report and nothing will be done. So what we are asking the platforms to do is, when you say that you're protecting women and you want this space to be safe for women and vulnerable people, can you then make it actually safe? Can you actually have it? Yes. So if someone has come and have said that we have problems with this thing has harmed us, could we have a disclaimer? Could we have before you make the decision to actually put it off, could we have a disclaimer? Because we are also operating within a society that shames women for speaking out against these things. I don't know what it would look like. I don't know what conversation we would have if hundreds of women came and said the yoni pads are not working. Then the question at the back of their mind would be, okay, Kwani, how is your body? How do you So there's that also. There's also that to put at the back of them of your mind. So at the very least, could we have had a disclaimer? These things have been banned in this country, so be careful when you use them. Something that says you actually care about the people who are being targeted, and you actually care about the society within which these people are being targeted, and why these things are being sold, as violent. Is violently the word to use? As violently as they're being sold. I don't know if that's the word to use.
As aggressively
as they're being sold. As aggressively as they're being marketed. Because there's a need. There's a societal need to be everything to, yes. So there's also that to have at the back of your mind. Well, when we talk about the threshold, which is a good question, there's also the context around sexual health and women and how we have conversations about these things.
Do you think it's worth having a conversation that then includes other professionals here?
Yes.
Because this is something extremely sensitive. Like
Yes.
this is what we prefaced this entire conversation on,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And we're saying that when it then comes to things like sexual health and things that women get into, very rarely are questions asked from health professionals. You know, it's a testimonial, and we know what it's like. It's like one big, gab fest.
Yeah.
And so long as one person has said this has worked for me, and then you hear it from somebody else, you then take it as gospel, and then you want to try it on yourself.
Yes.
So we are swimming in really sensitive waters here, because if a platform because this is also, it could be potentially dangerous.
Yeah.
If a platform basically because if you just want to do your research, a little bit of it, just later on today, you'll find that this stuff is rampant on platforms.
Yes.
It is everywhere.
People
are talking about it. People are using it. People are recommending it to others. The vendors are
Selling
many,
Yes.
and they're selling. Mind you, even after the Poisons Board gave the whatever yesterday, I still saw very many ads pop up on feeds of the same thing. It doesn't stop because of that.
Yeah.
So now, if we're saying that there's a potential danger, shouldn't this conversation then be widened, where a little bit more research is put into it,
Yes.
so that truly, if there is a danger to the lives of women because of the use of this thing, then it will not be a maybe or if kind of situation. It will be clear. It will be unequivocal from the folks who are in the space saying, do not. Because right now we haven't seen them say that. It's a maybe kind of sort of situation. But should the conversation not be widened a little bit more?
The conversation should be widened a little bit more. And what we've done, we've just begun the conversation. We're saying there's a problem with this thing being advertised. Now we've opened that door to that conversation. Now, can we have the medical, the medical professionals come in and tell us what, because we know there is a danger in this thing, but what is the specific danger of this thing? And if you're going to use it, if once the medical, have spoken, then they've already spoken, that's final. Yeah. So, and like I said at the beginning, mis and disinformation is not a one. I mean, there's not only just one way to fight mis and disinformation. So we are going the platform accountability way. Then the doctors can come out and do the debunking and pre-banking, which we actually invite, and they should actually do this thing. More professionals should come out and speak about things that are like areas that people are being mis and disinformed about. Because the reason that you will be lied to is because you do not have the information. So the people with the information should begin to speak up, to create content around this information, to create verified content around sexual health, because we don't know very much about sexual health and what it actually means to have a healthy reproductive. We don't know much about this conversation, and so this is an invitation. The report was not just to highlight where the platforms are failing, but it's also opening the door to expand this conversation. So I agree with you. We should have that conversation, and we should be hearing them, speaking out about these things. The gynecologists and all these people, they should be speaking out against, for, against, like depending on the research and also their practice. For us, it was to say there's a problem here. You're advertising this thing. You're amplifying this thing. It is harmful, and these are the findings. Yes.
It broadens, like you're saying, the conversation to extra surveillance by the regulators, surveillance by the platforms, just to make sure that what is there is not harming people.
Yeah.
I'm saying get out of the platforms and come into the streets and to the market, you find such products and very many other products being sold. You'll go into many of the markets in Nairobi and other parts, and you will hear of things that are sold, and you ask yourself, what on earth are we talking about? You know? Skin products,
even the BBLs and all of these things.
Very many things.
Yes.
And it will take a long time for us to get to the attention of government regulators, for then the government regulators to come out and say, it has come to our attention that this is happening. By the time it is coming to their attention, many people have
been harmed,
bought, have used. There are those who have come out with positive testimonials. There are those who have come out to say they've been harmed, or there are those who've been ashamed to come out to say
that,
I used it and I got harm.
Yeah.
So by the time the government regulator is coming out, this thing has already gone out.
Yeah.
So even as we talk about the platforms, look at it, it's the same way. It's what is the capacity of the Poisons Board to actually regulate this? What's their capacity to have enforcement mechanism? What can we do as a community, as a society? Maybe it's about increasing information.
Yes.
What is harmful, what's not? How do you tell what's harmful, how do you tell what's not? How do you report? How do you raise concern? How do you ask questions? Is this good or not? How do you reach this particular regulator so that you can ask them, I saw this product, would you sanction it?
Yes.
And it's the conversation then broadens up for me.
Yes,
into
it has
all
to
this.
it has to broaden up, and it has to involve a lot of education, and not just education from the people who are doing the fact checking or from the people who are doing it's also the people within like these professions who understand what is going on, putting out information to debunk and pre-bank what is going on, so that also the government knows what they are acting on. We have the consumers we have the consumers
federation.
We have the consumers federation who was supposed to also flag this. I remember when we did my Always Experience, I'll keep referencing to that because it was a big moment, and they did not put out any statement. Well, does that mean that because they did not put out a statement that we were not being harmed by these parts? Just because a Poisons Board has said this may not be harmful, does it really mean that there's no actual harm? And what we're basically saying is we deserve to be protected. We deserve to interact in a space that is safe. We deserve to, whenever we complain, we deserve to be heard, because we actually deserve to be heard. It is within human dignity to be heard, and whenever there's complaints, to make sure that the complaints are heard, and when there's something harmful, can we be protected from these things? Because there's only so much that we can do, as individuals. We actually really do deserve to be protected by the agencies that say they're about protecting people. Then be about it.
Okay. Consumer Federation as well.
Yes.
And such other platforms.
In such other platforms, yes.
In smaller scale, let's say you have a group of consumers who really monitor beauty products.
Yeah.
Others who monitor other kind of products that are in the market, that are maybe being advertised in media, online media, offline media. I think maybe it's also an important thing to
it is an important
encourage
thing to do,
such organizations to come up, such people such as yourselves, to come up and be more active and more vocal.
Yes.
So that you create awareness. If a new product comes out, you say, okay, there's a new product that's come out, and what we have found out is that it has been banned in 1 or 2 countries.
Yes.
And these were the reasons, and this is what happened. These are the side effects of it.
Yeah.
So you flag it, and then you're able to reach out to the platforms. And if you reached out to the platform and the platform did not take action, then I'd say, okay, let's go after the platform.
Yes.
Until then, I think you're
no, we really
is there room
we did.
I mean, is there
we
room
did
to do
reach
that as
out.
well?
We did reach out to the platforms, and there's a way that there's corporate communication. We have not. You know what I'm saying? There's a corporate communication because we did not just release the report.
Sure.
There was communication. We have noticed this. This thing has been flagged. This thing is, but women are complaining about this thing. What is your comment about this thing? We have this report, and this is what we have found out. Do you have anything?
Response?
The response was we have community the normal, we have community guidelines, we have this and that and that. It's the same. It's the same. Yeah. Yes.
Is there room, and is it something that can actually be? Because I really do think that there's quite a lot that comes onto the shores of country upon country that does not go through the due diligence of verification that perhaps it must, and that people just get caught up in using a lot of these things, and platforms then will market them because of the money.
The money, yes.
is this an opportunity for a room or a space to be created where there really is an eye, kind of like a watchdog, surveillance, to then be able to call in the professionals in whatever sector, to then be able to verify, apart from the folks who are giving the licenses, apart from the folks who are, registering you, to say what is it that you're really coming in to do?
Yes, there should be. There should be people who look out and say this. Actually, yes, there should be. And I don't know if there is and that we are not aware, because also government works in mysterious ways. It is possible that it exists, but we just do not know, because also they do not communicate. And so when there's no communication, then it creates this vacuum where we can miss and disinform one another. So I do not want to say that there is no, because I'm not sure if there is. Like I said, it works in mysterious ways. It could exist, but we do not know about it. And if we do not know about it, then it means that we do not know how to even begin the process of accountability. But where we are beginning, because this is the path that we're seeing, is platforms. You are advertising this thing, you are amplifying this thing, and
you have
so
the capacity.
You have the capacity to actually limit how much this thing is amplified. But because there's money and because there's advertisement, you're going to take the money and you're going to go. But then also there's also opportunity to have a larger conversation. What is the government doing? Do we know what the government is doing?
Asante sana. We'll get you.
You get me? Okay.
Wanjiru Gohe, somebody's calling you Lauryn Hill.
Oh, wow.
They like your hair.
Thank you.
Wanjiru Gohe is a Fumbua program manager at Badassa Media Lab. Keep it here for more conversations. Good morning. It's 8 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is News. I'm Dennis Aseto. The High Court declined to vary orders by the Court of Appeal allowing the implementation of the Finance Act 2023. The three-judge bench, consisting of David Majanja, Lawrence Mugambi and Christine Meoli, stated that they have no powers to entertain the applications filed by the Law Society of Kenya and Kenya Human Rights Commission, as the Court of Appeal had already issued an order unfreezing the Finance Act 2023. In the meantime, the court has summoned the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority Director General Daniel Kiptoo to show cause why he should not be held in contempt for disobeying the order on the Finance Act 2023. According to the petitioner Kiom Tata, Kiptoo went on to increase petroleum prices by 8% when the court had issued an order on July 10th barring any increment. The government reviewed fuel prices upwards despite a court order that temporarily halted the implementation of the Finance Act 2023 in a case filed by activists and a senator. Now, President William Ruto says the opposition must denounce violence before the 10-member bipartisan dialogue committee can begin talks, acknowledging sentiments by Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga that he was not interested in joining President Ruto's administration. The head of state says he has instructed his team to talk with the opposition, but a political handshake and violence experienced during anti-government protests are off the table. And if he is meeting with the political leadership in Mount Kenya, President William Ruto has maintained that the anticipated dialogue between government and opposition would only happen under specified parameters. Now, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi is in Kampala, Uganda for a 2-day state visit. Mudavadi is representing President William Ruto and will lead the Kenyan delegation at the second G25 Africa Coffee Summit of Heads of State and Government to be held in Kampala today. The government of the Republic of Uganda, through the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, in collaboration with the Inter-Africa Coffee Organization, is hosting this year's summit under the theme Transforming the African Coffee Sector Through Value Addition. The main focus of the high-level summit is to assist member states in addressing the challenges affecting the African coffee value chain. The goal is to propose solutions that ensure sustainable coffee production, research, market access, and promotion of coffee consumption through intra-regional trade. The inaugural G25 Coffee Summit took place in Nairobi, Kenya from May 25th through 27th, 2022. During the summit, the heads of state and government of the 25 coffee-producing countries signed the Nairobi Declaration that commits them to seek consensus on integrating coffee as a strategic agricultural commodity within the African Union in line with the Africa Agenda 2063. Now, the government has assured Kenyans of its commitment of ensuring their data is highly protected. ICT and Digital Economy CS Eliud Owalo said nothing will stop the government from ensuring the rights of individuals to have their data handled responsibly. Speaking after launching the Office of Data Protection Commissioner in Mombasa, the CS noted that the government has managed to digitalize 5,084 government services as it continues with its digitization agenda. He, however, noted that the framework is in place to ensure Kenyans' data is private and secure. In Homa Bay, Governor Gladys Wanga led senior officials of her government to sign performance contracts, giving a strong warning against officials who are negligent at work. Wanga led the activity in Homa Bay, where the CEC and officials of her government signed the agreement. In her address, Wanga said everyone will have to deliver as per the signed contracts.
We are about the people. Everything we do, we must look and see how does it work for the people who gave us this opportunity. Reward for achievement. I want to promise you that there will be reward for achievement, but there will also be punishment for failure. We will look for where the failure came from. If we don't deliver for the people of Homa Bay, they will send me and the DG home. You think they'll entertain us? They will send us home. Before they send me home, you will go before me. The CEC.
Wanga, together with the Deputy Governor Oyugi Magwanga and the Assembly Speaker Julius Gaya, warned that anyone who fails to deliver on their mandate will be fired. Magwanga asked all county workers to work together and deliver as expected of them. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Asseto. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
At a few minutes after 8 o'clock, traffic busy in most parts of the city. Okoh Road, Lunga, getting onto Likoni, and then touching a little bit on the southern bypass. Langata Road is now when folks on Langata Road have decided to come into the city, we're awake and stuff, and then clogging up everywhere. Traffic on Raila Odinga Way, going out towards Uhuru Highway, coming down through from Magadi Road, out generally through into the city. It's busy. It's also busy on the Thika Superhighway. We're looking at heavy traffic on Juja Road right about now, as well as Kiambu Road. That's still continues. Limuru Road is busy then coming in from the city into the city this morning, coming in on United Nations Avenue. Everywhere you look this morning, you'll find some traffic. It's moving though in some parts, so nothing too painful, at least not for now. Hopefully we can keep it just so. Let's talk on Spice FM KE on Twitter.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to...
You welcome to the third hour of the Situation Room. Thank you very much for keeping it locked on Spice FM, on YouTube and Facebook, on KTN Home. The conversations continue. CT Muga is away this week, but it's Eric Latiff and Ndu Okoh. We're waiting for our guest who's just getting into the studio shortly, Susan Mangeni, the Principal Secretary for the State Department for MSME Development. That's Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development. That ministry is called Cooperatives and MSME Development.
Ah, right.
That's what it's called.
Voila.
Yes. So as she gets here, there was this story about hopes and fears of KCSE leavers who shunned local university slots. Financial difficulties and lack of awareness might have cost a section of students who sat last year's KCSE a chance to join universities and colleges. The Ministry of Education recently disclosed that almost 600,000 students who sat their exams did not apply to the Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Service KUSUPS to join universities or colleges. Some of the learners interviewed said they could not raise the 1,500 mandatory application fee. Some of them could not raise the 1,500 mandatory application fee. Others had no information about the process. Now, this one, we'll invite the boss lady of KUSUPS to come and tell us more about it, because it's a big one. This is a very big one. A section of the students opted to apply to join technical TVETs despite having obtained impressive grades, like Joanne Chepkoech, who got a B plane. She was admitted to Kabianga University to pursue a Bachelor of Education, but she focused on joining a TVET. She says, in high school, being a needy student, I was sponsored by Equity Bank through their Wings to Fly program, but my admission to university stalled due to a lack of a sponsor. I'm still optimistic that I'll pursue a course. She now says she has applied for a course through the Kenya University and Colleges Central Placement Service. I've also applied for a nursing course at KMTC. She says the move by the government to allow TVET applications through the placement board is welcome. The placement in TVETs through KUSUPS is godsend, because I don't know how I would have gotten a chance to get back to college after missing out on my university slot. So these are very many issues that we're talking about. 600,000 people who did not apply at all to be placed by the placement service. It's a big issue.
It is, because the question then is, what's going to happen to them after having completed your secondary school, and you should have gone to some level of further education, and the reasons as to why you didn't are all avoidable or manageable reasons.
Yeah, especially when you say that some who could not afford the 1,500 application fee, and there are many who did not know. They were just not aware that there was something like this. So that brings in the question, what did the school heads know?
Exactly. And what was being communicated.
And what was being communicated to this. Okay. Our next guest is the Principal Secretary in the State Department for MSME Development, Susan Mangeni. She's in the studio. Good morning, PS.
Morning, Eric.
Karibu sana to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Okay.
Her name is Ndu Okoh.
Ndu?
Okoh.
Ndu is fine.
Ndu Okoh.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Ndu Okoh, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, PS. Karibu sana.
Karibu sana, PS. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Yes.
Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Hot seat?
Yes.
It's cold.
Very good. Very good.
Come on.
We like it that way.
Don't light fire now.
To welcome you to the show, I'm going to give you the day's proverb. It's a West African proverb. Listen to it. Tell us your own reading of it and interpretation. It says, salt cannot glorify or praise itself in the sauce. Salt cannot glorify or praise itself in the sauce. What's your understanding of it? What's your interpretation of this proverb?
Somebody else has to test. Yeah, so somebody else has to test it.
And?
Yeah, and what are you driving at?
What do you think the West African people of the Songhai were saying with this? What is the lesson to take from this?
The impact has to be seen.
By others.
By others.
That you cannot talk about how good you are, right? Or
but also, if you don't talk about it, how will they know?
By testing.
No, if you don't talk about it, how will they know that when you were talking about the thousands of the Form 4 leavers who did not apply. And one of the issues there was some of them didn't even know. Yeah, they were not aware. So also, the information must be there.
Both sides of the sword.
Yep.
Yeah. Introduce us to the State Department for MSME Development. What's your mandate?
My mandate?
Yes.
Is to grow MSME. Yeah, to promote them, to promote their productivity, enable their competitiveness and profitability, so that they can significantly contribute to our economy by creating jobs and also generating revenue.
Why is MSME such a big deal to the government?
It is a big deal because that's the architecture of our economy anyway. Yeah, like any other economy in developing country is fully dependent on the economy, small businesses. You can see we are not industrialized economy, and therefore we have to depend on the small businesses, the input of our businessmen and women. Yeah.
Just so that we are clear, do Mamambogas qualify as MSME?
Oh yes, they are
And
MSME.
kinyozi and boda boda
Of course they are.
Na yule mtu anachoma mahindi.
I just used one. I just used a boda boda.
So, as long
They
as
are
you're in
MSME.
business,
Yeah.
you are in some level of either
You are
micro, small, medium, or then going into larger enterprise.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. You are either at micro, depending, of course, with your day-to-day turnover, your capital base, and the nature of business you're doing, whether you've just created a job for yourself. And most of people, the source of employment is the small businesses. If does not employ someone else, at least for them, it's creating a job for them. So, so all business people in Kenya that in MSME ecosystem.
What are the challenges that many MSMEs in Kenya face? Like the main ones?
There are quite a number of barriers. But of course, the main ones being access to financing. And what makes that difficult, of course, is that majority, again, of MSMEs are in the micro, which is the lowest level, and are not formalized. They're informal. Some of them are not registered, and they operate like in a lottery form of, operation. Today you get, tomorrow you don't get, and they're not served. They're not even banked. And if you are not served, nobody even, you don't have any business support. Even capacity building, you are not even able to know opportunities which are existing, what you are talking about, so you're not kind of visible credit-wise. And also there is now the challenge of collateral, you see. And because if you look at the conventional collaterals that we have today in the credit market, talk about properties, assets, title deeds, this and that. And because these people are not visible, then they also do not have for challenges here and there, some of them which could be cultural, and because of the high poverty level, they don't have a dependable social capital network which can guarantee them for anything. Yet, that the majority, I would say the micro are almost around 70% of MSMEs in Kenya, and they do their small businesses that pushes them over. That makes them meet their daily needs, at least at subsistence level. I'm able to sell my mboga, put food on the table, the small things. But again, that cannot afford them the enhanced livelihood that you really want our Kenyan people to have. So the lack of collateral and makes it difficult for them to access credit in the market, and you cannot do business without having access to credit. The other bit, of course, as I talked about, is capacity building, and in the capacity building of even knowing what exists around you and how to exploit the opportunities, lacking necessary networks and linkages even to markets, becomes so difficult for them to grow and scale up their businesses. Other challenges, of course, that are there, of course, now become the social security issues. For example, these people have no social safety nets. You find those who are in urban areas, they are faced with issues of housing, rental issues each and every month, Again, also if they're sick, and you know, sickness is the biggest driver to poverty, because if you're sick, that small stock that you have, you are likely to dispose it off. So you find these people really having a challenge. Those who are in the rural areas, you know, accessing Medicare, you know, makes them, you know, come down. It's the biggest shock that they can ever have that pulls down the businesses. So there are a myriad of challenges that face them. But as we say, the key one is just being credit visible, so that as and anytime you need credit, you can be able to access it, so that you take charge of the opportunities that come across you.
Okay. So as having looked at the challenges and seen that from, you know, a state point of view, from a government point of view,
yes,
what then is the desire for this sector? What has government seen that this is the way in which then it ought to be? How should this sector actually be playing out when we are looking at the way in which business is done in this country? How should it actually play out? What would you envision it to be?
Thank you so much. Ndu? You say
yes,
this Ndu?
Yes.
Ndu or Ndu?
Ndu is fine. Yes.
Ndu is fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think first and foremost, this administration recognize the central role that MSMEs play in our economy. And we said the only way that we could grow our economy was when we stimulate the participation of MSME, especially those in the micro who are highly informal. Seeing how do we get to formalize them, how do we get to make them visible. And by doing that, then it meant that we have to really interrogate the environment as it is today, the credit access environment. And what we meet there is that, of course, those challenges that I've spoken about. So the first initiative, of course, that President Ruto did, and you remember last year during the campaign, he promised Kenyans that within 100 days of him being sworn in, he's going to launch a fund called the Hustler Fund. And the reason why this Hustler Fund was launched is so that to correct the market failure by giving access to easy and cheap credit to the people at the bottom of the economic pyramid who cannot raise collateral, and also helping to build a new collateral system which we are calling credit score. Because if you do not have assets, and like I've said, that population lacks also assets which they can depend on, which they can advance to access credit. So then Hustler Fund, what it has come is to give them a new collateral system. And so the first product that was launched, and we all know about it, and I'm happy, Eric, the other day we went in the studio and you confirmed, is the personal loan. So this personal loan, the first thing it has done for us is to first of all show us the population of the people in Kenya who are in need of credit. So we are trying now to create credit visibility among that population, because also if you do not know the how many people that you're supposed to intervene or to indulge, then it becomes so difficult to come up with the intervention that can really speak to their needs. So today, as we speak, we can say we have about close to 21 million Kenyans that are in need of day-to-day credit. Then just before that, I think when we had...
And you know this by those who applied for a loan?
Those who applied for the Hustler Fund loan. And out of those 21, close to 18 million have borrowed the loan. You see, there is one thing of applying, have really borrowed the loan. And out of those 18 million Kenyans that have actually borrowed the loan, we have about 7.2 million Kenyans who borrow on regularly basis, who have borrowed more than 5, 6, 7 times in the last 8 months that the first products was launched. What does that tell us? What that tells us, it gives us the scope of the Kenyans who are in need of the credit. And whereas when we were launching this product and people are saying, oh, Kenyans are not going to pay, that's not true. It just shows that Kenyans were lacking such kind of products in the market. And then secondly, the other market failure that was there was the exorbitant interest rates. So and you know the reason why we have such exorbitant interest rates in the credit market is because of the high risk nature that is attached to that segment of the population, especially the micro. Because again, if you don't have properties or assets that you can advance as a collateral, what then happens is that the credit market will try to make interest to be so high so that even if you are to default, at least they would have gotten something out of it. So the Hustler Fund again came to rectify that, correct that, and just to demonstrate to the private sector and existing credit market, including even government agencies, that is possible actually to serve these people at a single digit. So the personal loan is 80%. Then the other bit that this has done, these 7.2 million Kenyans who borrow every day, today we can say that now they have a positive credit score, that they can now even be graduated to the existing credit market. And I remember a month ago we had a conversation with one of the banks, and they were saying, by the way, we are now ready to graduate them to a product, because now they have built a securitized system in the manner in which they borrow every day, even if it's 500. And by the way, Eric, if you can be trusted in the credit market, if you can be trusted with 500, you can equally be trusted with 1 million shillings or with 10 million shillings. It's about the consumer behavior. So that's what we've done. But of important, what Hustler Fund again has done is to rehabilitate the majority of Kenyans who are in CRB. Remember, the first week during President Ruto's presidency, he had a conversation with the institutions that had listed negatively Kenyans, and close to almost 80 million Kenyans were in CRBs. And you know, once you CRB is like you have been sentenced to death, lifetime in imprisonment, because you can get money clear, you alone or whatever, but it will take you some time to repair your credit. And we say we cannot have an economy where majority of Kenyans at that productive age, around 7 to 8 million are outside our economy. So we needed to bring back. And the beautiful thing again about this Hustler Fund, you say that the salt cannot taste itself, but what I'm just saying is that you see now, we sat down. The Hustler Fund is an initiative that has had huge input also from the private sector. And it's been riding on the infrastructure of the private sector, because the government's business is not to crowd out the private sector, but rather to facilitate the private sector. So we say, good, you've had this experience in digital lending. You've had this experience in scoring. Can we sit down and see how do we reach out to majority of these Kenyans now who are on the verge of being left out of the economy? And they said, fine. So we sat together with commercial banks, with telcos, and we worked out a baseline credit score. And I want to believe that in the coming days, we are at a point where we can now graduate these 7.2 million people back to the credit market, and that way we'll be now enlarging also the credit customer base of the existing financial institution
in the private sector.
Yes.
How many products are there in the Hustler Fund now? You started off with the personal loan.
Yes.
And then you have to expand these products as you went.
Yes.
How many do we have?
We actually, during the conceptualization of the fund, we had 4 products in mind. Of course, the first product was this personal loan, and like I've talked about why we had this personal loan. Also, even kind of to find out the visibility of the credit visibility in the country, which we now have. We have data. We can now speak from the data. So And the Hustler Fund 1 is now creating a reference because it's helping us to build our credit score and also create a reference where people can always consult it. So the second product is the group product, which we launched in June during Madaraka Day, June 1st. And this product so far, we have been able, as of today morning, we have been able to lend out to 17,200 groups so far.
Okay. What's a group?
A group, for the second product, a group can have a minimum of 10 members. And between 10 to 30 members, depending on how you want it to be. And the group is just an aggregation of the individuals. You aggregate them together who want to increase their bargaining power, either to access higher limits. Because in a group, you'll find people who have got a higher credit score, others have got a lower credit score, so that all those group dynamics and advantage that ones get. So in a group, you can be able to borrow from 20,000 to about 1 million. But the interesting thing about this product, in terms of the easy accessibility, is that you can create a group actually through your phone. Just also by dialing *254#, you create a group. You choose whether you need Hustler Fund group. And if you are just the same way you create the WhatsApp group, you add members. So there you invite members.
Right.
You dial and you invite members that you know. So you must be knowing. You must have made a predetermined decision that we 10 members or 15 members, we want to form the Hustler group. And then also, after you create that group, you will also get an advantage of getting your certificate, which can be downloadable. After that, you'll be prompted, you now have your certificate is ready. You can go online because we have integrated the Hustler Fund platform to the MSEA. MSEA is Micro Small Enterprise Authority, which does registration of micro and small enterprises. So them they register groups and they register association. So then we have also put necessary controls in the groups that every step you do, you know, nobody can take advantage of you. And you know, because of the Hustler Fund 1, the unique identifier is ID. And you know, one thing that we've done in this country was to integrate our IDs with our telephone numbers. So in the group, during group formation, as you invite members, you just put their numbers. If you put their numbers, of course, the unique identifier is already. And that member will get a prompt message to that, you know, requesting him to confirm whether
they want to join the group.
After they've joined the group, they will be scored. Again, we'll consult the Hustler Fund score, which is there now, which is going to become almost universal in Kenya. So we consult to see how much limit can you have as individual level. So it's aggregation of your limits that now will give you the group score. So then the group score and the limit is multiplied by 3 because this is a group. It has an enhanced kind of limits. So let's say, Eric, if your limit has been giving you in Hustler Fund 1 and you're a good borrower and payer, what happens is that if your limit was giving you 1,500 currently, in a group, the advantage you bring to that group is that now you'll be able to have a limit of about because it's times 3, 4,500. And assuming you are 10 people who have got such, you now can be able to borrow up to 45. So then after that, the official, of course, will request for the loan. And the good thing with that, because we have to look at also the control, is that at least 2 other members will be randomly requested to confirm whether the group wants to borrow such amount. And once they give the okay, the money will be in your wallet. So you can now decide on how much do you want to give Eric, 10 or wherever, and you can either do individual projects or you can do one project as a group. The best thing with this is that you can access higher limits, even up to 1 million, and there is that element of guaranteeing each other. But then this is the product that we feel is going to be a game changer to economy, because it's very easy now to mobilize and purposely rally people around an idea, business idea. You know, the government right now is focusing on certain key value chains, like in which we have identified as having high growth potential in terms of giving us jobs, creating jobs. You saw yesterday the screaming headline, I mean, in one of the daily, saying we have an employment pandemic. And I can tell you for sure, anybody who expects civil service to create right now a job is just a dream. The jobs are going to be created from the private sector and through such enterprises. So as we get to now, you know, graduate people from the Hustler Fund 1 to group, and then also we hope in the next few months or so, we're also working on the enterprise loan, where now firms can borrow. If you have a company now, you
properly
can borrow.
Registered companies
Can
under
borrow,
the Companies Act.
or a business can borrow. You see, registered business can now borrow certain, let's say at that point you can also borrow for LPO, you can borrow for what? And then later on, the fourth product will be on startup. To boost some of, we have very good ideas among our young people, especially innovative ideas. But most of the time they struggle to get people who can really invest in them, incubate them up to the point where they can go to the market. So we are going also to provide that.
Let's take a break. We'll come back and talk about this group product that the Hustler Fund is now rolling out and how that's going to work. So basically, I have been borrowing from the Hustler Fund since December last year. My limit. The last time I was with the PS on KTN Home and KTN News was on Shirika Day, the Cooperative Day, when we were
MSME
Day.
International MSME Day.
My limit then was 500 bob. My limit this morning is still 500 bob.
We
This
review
Hustler Fund.
every after 4 months.
December, January, February, March. You should have gotten some more money in March.
Surely.
No. It wasn't December.
It was
just in June.
But since December, my limit has been 500.
Even since the December, at least it should have been reviewed.
December, your limit is maybe you don't borrow every time. How regular do you borrow?
Now, if I want to borrow more and it's only giving me 500.
I will tell you why that 500 is going to help you in future.
Okay. So I have to keep borrowing and then
please.
It increases my credit score.
Yes.
Keep it here for more. Susan Mangeni is the Principal Secretary in charge of MSME Development. She is the PS in charge of the Hustler Fund. She's our guest this morning. Have you registered for the Boma Yangu platform? The Boma Yangu platform is the government's affordable housing platform. The only way you'll be able to own any of the houses that are being put up in the affordable housing program is by first registering on the Boma Yangu platform, bomayangu.go.ke, or you can dial star 832 hash. That's star 832 hash. We'll be back shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If a lion shows you its teeth, it doesn't mean it likes you.
It doesn't mean it likes you. It won't start. A liar calls as witness one who is either dead or far away. Say it in Kiswahili.
been low nin dhinte iyo nin dheer ayuu markhaati ka dhigtaa. You know this character called liar. He has disturbed people. So when you tell him who are your witnesses, he will take you to a place where it is difficult to verify.
For someone like me who sweats a lot, I cannot survive there. Sweating is biblical. Good. And you must blame it on Adam, not because Adam messed up and he was told, "No, you fellow, you, by the sweat of your brow, thou shalt eat."
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
All right, we're looking at cloudy conditions yet again in Nairobi, highs of 23 and lows of 12. We'll see highs of 26 and lows of 14 in Nakuru and highs of 22 and lows of 13 in Nyeri. The sun is up in Eldoret, highs of 23 and lows of 12, and 29 will be the high in a sunny Mombasa, coming down to lows of 23. We'll see lows of 23 and lows and highs of 29 in Malindi. It's sunny at 22 in Kisumu. We'll go to highs of 29, and we'll see highs of 28 in Kakamega, where it's sunny at 20. Partly sunny at 20 in Kampala, highs of 27, and we'll see highs of 30 in a sunny Dar es Salaam. 9 degrees and sunny in Johannesburg, going to highs of 21, and it will be partly cloudy through today in Lagos, with highs of 30 and lows of 25. 32 will be the high in a mostly cloudy Kinshasa at 21.
Some very nice, mature music.
They really take me back to my days, and I can just feel young again and enjoy the vibes.
Spice.
I'm a big listener of Spice FM.
You play the best music.
This is 94.4 Spice FM.
Still busy in many parts of the city. We're looking at Jogo Road, still heavy. And this is then going well into Islay. Juja Road is busy, touching on traffic that's coming in from the Thika Superhighway. Then everybody trying to approach Muranga Road. So that's pretty busy there. James Gishuru also busy. And it's also coming in hot from Westlands. Keeping an eye on things. Gong Road not doing too bad. Everybody who came off Langata Road today, still some traffic going towards Railo Dinga Way, as well as then pushing off of Uhuru Highway. We're still in traffic hour. Probably will be there for another hour or so. So let's just keep an eye on things. Nothing too painful. Not at this point. Let's talk on Spice FM. KE on Twitter.
Are you ready? Okay.
Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
Principal Secretary in the State Department for MSME Development is our guest this morning.
P.S. As we look at the challenges and then look at the Hustler Fund itself and say that we're trying to get people visible, getting people who are practicing in business around the country, how will you then know that people have progressed from one level to the next? How will you know this and then be able to harness that information to then say that we've at least moved, we're moving, we're getting somewhere? What would be indicators of this particular success?
Yeah, our aspiration is to be able to see the mobility from, let's say, micro to small and medium enterprises. But for us, let's begin by micro. How will we know that we have moved? One, if you look at the levels of formalities and informalities, because through the group, for example, the group product, that's part of formalization. Remember, I've talked about the element of registration and having certificates. So we can say now, if we sit down maybe in the next 1 month and try to assess how many groups have we registered in itself, we'll be able to tell how we are trying to move them. At least when they're visible, it's very easy now to understand closely what are their needs, so that now even what are their financial needs, what are the training needs, what are the gaps that exist in their business paths, so that then we can now start coming up with intervention or start looking for networks that can really support them. By putting together also a database that makes us also know who is where, who is in this sector, and how can they be reached, where are they. I was just talking about, for example, the value chain concept that we are rolling out as a country, which we have flagged out the key sector of economy. And around those value chain, we have about 8 priority value chain. The first one being the leather value chain. And second one is dairy. The third one is edible oil crops. We're talking about rice production. We want to increase the production of rice. We're looking at at cotton, textile and apparel. We're looking at building and construction. Talk about Mayangu, affordable housing and so forth. Opportunities around there. We're looking at tea in terms of value add. We're also looking at coffee. And finally, we're looking at blue economy, opportunities around blue economy. And we've gone also another step to kind of map out this country in terms of where do we have growth potential, high growth potential. For example, the leather value chain, you will tend to look at the Asal area, the northern eastern part of this country, and all Asal areas, and now in our data right now, which we're putting up through Hustler Fund, we are able to tell who is where. For example, today we can give you the county distribution in terms of how Hustler Fund is doing. So we've been able to create a data of identifying where these people are. So the next level is where we have a lot of works, as I will say.
So PS, that this information is based on then obviously who has borrowed.
Yes, who has borrowed.
Okay.
And who has borrowed or who has interacted. Remember, I've told you about 18 million people have borrowed, but about 21 million Kenyans have been reached out. And we have the data. Because if you have your phone number, we're able to tell where you come from. So again, what you're going to do is to create again, one of the things that the government did by having this state department was to create some sort of a coordination platform to manage those coordination gaps that we had in this ecosystem. Truly speaking, for the last 60 years in this country, there are many actors who've been doing a lot of things in the space of MSME. You find people who have been running incubation programs, acceleration programs, development partners like World Bank, JZ, JICA. Everybody has been doing something. Government has been doing something. You've seen, we've had even catalytic funds, what we call affirmative funds like Youth Fund, Wezo Fund, you know, being there, KI being there, promoting industrialization and so forth. But the lack of coordination so that they can leverage on each other is what has made the impact to not to be felt, and also not to reach out to as many people as possible, because we've had this duplication. You find if it's training, everybody's doing training to an extent that the same limited scope of the population which they're reaching out get even confused, because you are walking from one training seminar to another, and wasting even the opportunity which would have settled down and run your business. So what we've done is that we are bringing that coordination in that sector. We've had stakeholders engagement. Just last month we had a development partners round table, also trying to bring them together and saying each one of them, of course, in working with us, we can be able to kind of leverage on our strength, on our niche, and also create opportunities for graduation where this MSM, for example, if I'm doing incubation, after I've done incubation, what next?
Right.
What next after 1 year of incubating me? How do I get to be known so that I'm connected maybe for financing, and that has been lacking. How do we connect them to the market? So we created an ecosystem where we can speak to each other, all actors at different level of the value chain. So having that central data is going to help us to know who have we reached, what are the levels of their need, because they're different needs. Micro requires different needs, different financial needs, different training needs, different even markets. They require different markets, and even the organization. Somewhat at the micro, to access a sustainable market needs to be in some sort of a group. Because even today, if you get an order to supply certain, kilograms or whatever thing, and you are alone, you may not manage. You will fail the market.
So you need to aggregate.
So you need to aggregate. But as you move forward, as you move upwards to small, for example, and to medium, you find now those becomes farms and they have certain capabilities which can enable them. So we are saying again, all this thing of first of all, so we try to collapse the silo approach that has been existing in the ecosystem. And then also, we are also trying then to create an opportunity where we can graduate MSME and scale them up. And thirdly, the bit also we are trying to do is that these halfway interventions should stop.
So no brokers.
No, and also
middlemen.
Not really. Even middlemen in any ecosystem also economically they're significant, but it has to be in a structured way where they do not exploit.
So they're not exploitative.
That's not exploitative. But the point to which I was saying is that we should also run away from generalization or even thinking that this one so-called one
shoe fits all.
That's one. Because if you ask anybody previously, before he'll tell you, I deal with MSME, and you ask them which MSME, which level of MSME. I finance them. Okay, so relax. Is it micro? Is it small? Is it medium? So a number of people say, I give loans to MSME. When they do not, they fail to appreciate that every segment or level
has its own needs.
Its own needs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to ask, so the group product since June 1st, you've said you've lent out to 17,200 groups. And
117 million.
117 million shillings has been lent out. 7.2 million of individual borrowers have borrowed more than 5 times from the Hustler Fund.
Yes.
And 18 million at least have borrowed. Now,
maybe once repaid or twice repaid or thrice repaid. And
the issues of trust and government come in, and I've got to ask you now the corporate governance question. We have a board in place. You sit on the board.
Yes.
As established by the PFM Act regulations.
Yes. Yeah.
Do we have an administrator of the fund?
Yes.
Who's the administrator?
The administrator of the fund is the acting CEO.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the board. The board of the fund will say administrates the fund, but because not all the board members can do that, they employ the CEO who administrates the fund.
So the board has recruited a CEO.
No, it's in the process of recruiting now a substantive CEO, because at the moment we have acting CEO, and the law provided, actually our regulation provided, that the cabinet secretary could appoint the acting CEO, and then of course once the board is in place, we'll go through the normal processes and procedures of recruiting the CEO and also establishing now the secretariat. And I think those normal processes are now, those processes are in place right now.
So how long do we give this fund for it to be fully institutionalized?
Well,
complete board in place, complete secretariat in place, with a substantive chief executive officer as an administrator, and staff who are competitively recruited to serve in this Hustler Fund alone, not seconded from other units.
Yeah, we the processes. You see, the recruitment processes in this country, and especially establishing an institution, there are certain processes that have to be followed. Because the first process is to develop an organizational structure, and after that it has to go through certain approvals, which I can tell you today that that's what is happening right now. It has to go through certain approval, public service, give it a go ahead and stuff. It's only after we go those approvals that we have to seek also approval of the treasury, because you cannot also recruit or advertise without the element of the cost and the budgetary being in place. But what I can let you know is that those processes are now underway. But I can also say, in absence, you see, the law does not also contemplate vacuum. So in absence of that, the law also has got certain institutional mechanism that can support, because that's where we exist as a State Department, and that's where we exist as also as a ministry, to just make sure that we're able to operationalize the fund, and there are no such gaps. However, of course, I agree that if you have a secretariat, then it also becomes easier on our part, on my part as a PS, and also on the part of the CS. But so far, with the progress that we have made so far, you can also see that we have also been working, because the Kenya at the end of the day wants service.
Right.
Whether it comes through an already established institution, what they need to see is that they're being served, and we're doing all that. Yeah.
Looking at geography now in Kenya, obviously we know that the majority of the people are not in urban centers, are not in urban Kenya. Majority of people who also then require these services are spread around the country.
Yes.
Who require to be visible, who require to be banked, who want to get in some kind of formal business. How will this truly encompass the geography of this problem or geography of this issue to make sure that we're not looking at the centers, as it were, of Nairobi, of Kisumu, of Mombasa, but that really spread across the country?
The most interesting thing, my outcome of the last, our experience so far in the last 8 months, is that the mobile technology penetration has been of help. And if there is an equalizer that we have in our country, it's the mobile technology. That each and every homestead right now across the country has got at least a telephone phone. And that's why this fund to date, we are yet even to move it to the mobile, to what you can call the apps, where you basically just require only maybe the smartphones and such. And that's why so far the outcome so far is USSD code, meaning even if you have a feature phone, you can be able to access it. And the interesting is that if I give you the statistics today, most of the users, actually, those who have been able to access, are using the feature phone, the so-called Kabambe. So that one shows the penetration that this fund has had there. However, as we move to the group, because I just wanted to show you the statistics in terms of the phone usage so far. So as because you see this, I get timely updates every hour. So in terms of the type of phone that is used, interestingly, 54% is feature phone, and only 46% is smartphone. So what does that say? Most of the borrowers actually are also those ones who are using the feature phones. But again, now, how do we take that forward? How do we make this financing now help for them? How do we ensure that even through the feature phone or through the mobile technology, how do we harness that to make them access the markets? So this is where now we are going to the grassroots. And through these group products, from next week, we are rolling out outreach programs. Of course, also going to work in collaboration with the structures which are already there, the county government structures. And remember when I talked about the value chains, there's also this element of the CAIP, the County Aggregation Industrial Park. So we say we want to tie opportunities around those CAIPs, because each and every county has also looked at those priority value chains, and they have those ones flagged out, 1 or 2 that are going to prioritize. So when we go there, we work with the county government structures, the elected leaders, the members of assembly, and also the provincial administration in terms of reaching out to the masses there, telling them, hey, look, if this county, for example, is prioritizing, let's say, cotton farming, we can enterprise cotton farming. So when you come together 10 people, probably you need fertilizer to put there. You can come together and be able to borrow hustler fund and put it into cotton farming. We say, for example, after you farmed your cotton, you want to maybe engage in cottage industry, there is also opportunity here. So we start organizing you and rallying you with some sort of a purpose in terms of an idea, but also the readiness of the market. But the other thing that you're also doing is to how do we graduate? Because you see, for the group, you can go up to 1 million. What if for those people who want more than 1 million? Can they still capitalize on the credit score? Collateral, the new collateral system and advance loans. Yesterday, I gave out the youth fund loan as we were marking the beginning of the International Youth Week. I presented close to 33.8 million shillings to a number of youth-owned enterprises from around Nairobi County. And what I told them is that now going forward, we are going to graduate hustler beneficiaries, like among those 7.2 million who have shown, who have positive credit score, to be able now, if they need higher credits more than 1 million, which they cannot get within a group, to borrow now from
the youth fund.
Now, youth fund does not have to go there and start recruiting. You just look at how many of the hustler fund who are in need of such amount, and now they borrow them. So we're going to graduate them. We have KIU, which also give loans for manufacturing, for example, up to 20 million. If we have good ideas, and if we know that we have now incubated good borrowers on hustler fund, they can easily be graduate to
Kenya Industrial Estates.
Kenya Industrial Estates, and many other opportunities, private investors, you know. So it's going to be beneficial. So just that 500, Eric, that people may
can lead me to
it will open you up to massive opportunities, because it's building your credit score, which is the new thing.
The challenge, though, is that every time I borrow 500 bob, some 25 bob is going into some fund, some savings, and I don't have access to these savings or visibility into these savings. So how do you answer that? So that I grow my credit score, but basically it's just government keeping some 25 bob every time I'm going to the hustler fund.
You'll have access to your savings. Let me tell you, it was also imperative that we introduce and we promote a culture of savings in this country. Especially,
how do I access it?
Among us, that group. And before you access it, can I give you good news? That today it is at 1.979 billion.
1.79 billion shillings
Money has been
been saved.
Has been saved. And this
by
is the little savings
of the hustler fund
of 50, the small savings that we have. And and of course, part of that saving, 70%, goes to build up your pension. Remember, that sector, they are not in formal employment, where some pension is built up for them for, you know, so that you can retire with some sort of social security. So what is happening is that we had to build for them a pension scheme, and the pension scheme is good for them. And you know, even in business, at some point you'll retire. It
so
will come a time.
Is over 700 million shillings has gone into pension.
A pension, which at the moment, that money, you see, like a pension, how you invest in pension, how you handle pension, is heavily regulated through RBA.
Yeah.
So that one is being handled well. And this money, at the moment, you'll ask me why is it being invested, is in T-bonds.
In government securities.
In government securities. But as we work out now, we kind of crystallize a framework on how you can access. By the way, Eric, now if you are to access that saving, we want also to encourage you to invest in Boma Yangu. The other day I was having a conversation in PS for housing, and we agreed that these social houses, which they have, want to turn them into, drive it as hustler houses, so that we encourage also these people who will plug that hustler housing, fund. They can now directly save to acquire those houses.
Spice up your life.
And we'll access it, and you can also invest it, and the government is matching up for you. When you save 2 shillings, they match out one up to about 3,000, so that you will have saved at least 9,000 per year.
Okay. PS, thank you very much for joining us today.
Welcome.
The Principal Secretary in the State Department for MSME Development, Susan Mangani. Good morning, 9 a.m. News time.
All its projects are completed within a span of 2 years. This explained. We'll check the wastage of resources. Now, several critical elements of the devolved functions accounting for 272.2 billion shillings are still under the administration of the national government even a decade after the initiation of devolution. The Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee highlighted the issue during its appearance before the Senate Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations. Led by its chairperson, CPA Githinji Kiragu, the IGRTC delegation informed the senators that a significant portion of resources required for funding devolved functions remains within the jurisdiction of the national government. In their appeal to the committee and the broader Senate, the delegation sought intervention to facilitate the complete transfer of devolved functions and the necessary resources for their effective implementation. Now, Majority Leader in Nyeri County Assembly Elijah Osiemo is dead. Naivasha OCPD Benjamin Bowen confirmed that Osiemo, who is also the Nyamaiwa ward representative, died in a road accident on the Maimahiu-Narok Highway. Bowen father said that 3 other MCAs and the driver were seriously injured in the accident. Duke Masira was together with the Osiemo when the accident happened.
We were almost approaching Maimayu. That was when a boda rider got into the road. The driver tried to overtake with emergency, and then by bad luck, he hit the boda rider who had jackal with him. And then after that, I cannot even say that I saw what happened. Anything I heard, my colleague, Honorable Priscilla, screaming that, oh God.
It says that they were traveling to attend a meeting for county MCAs that was scheduled to take place in Nairobi.
For now, I want to pass my condolences to my brother's family, Osiemo family at large. I want to tell them, I've lost a brother, I've lost the leader majority whom I deputize, I've lost a very calm man, very concerned, who also made me now to come. I was planning to leave Nyamira today in the evening, but he asked me to join him to Nairobi, where Honorable Yambega Gisesa was waiting as the chairman of the committee that we are coming to join him.
Our thoughts and condolences to the family. Embakasi East MP Babu Wido has decried what he terms as slow progress in a subversion case facing him and 6 others. Speaking outside Milimani Court, the MP said the court should stop wasting its precious time and public resources on trumped-up charges which he said are politically motivated. Babu was arrested at the JKIA last month and taken to Anguru police station in Muga, Kirinyaga County a day before the 3-day Azimio protest. And parents and students affected by the Finland education scam in Uasin Gishu County wept before Governor Jonathan B. and Senator Jackson Mandago as they narrated their stories. The two leaders had called a meeting, but most of the parents and their children could not hold back their tears of pain. Emotions ran high as some of the parents narrated how they sold their property or used retirement benefits to pay for their children to study in Finland. More than 300 parents are demanding to be refunded more than 300 million shillings. Now, Pest and Control Board has banned the use of 2,4-D herbicide normally used for spraying coffee plantation to control weeds. The board's managing director, Dr. Esther Kimani, said that the component in the herbicide is very poisonous.
Tume withdraw from uses. Ile inamuhusu sana kwanza ile intervention ya kahawa. Na hii herbicide tunatumianga inaitwa 2,4-D. Hiyo dawa tumewithdraw isitumiwe kwa kahawa kwa sababu hata ina affect masoko. Na ile ingine ni jina ngumu inaitwa chlorpyrifos. Kwa hivyo hiyo tutaongea na watu wa agriculture ndio tuangalie ni madawa gani iko na hiyo molecule na ndio mueleze. Lakini hii message imepewa kwa Agrovet. I hope watamwambia.
She was speaking in Mwea during the launch of invasive apple snail pilot control operations in Kirinyaga County. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Ansada. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Coming off Langata Road, we're seeing some traffic getting out towards the junction at the Nyeri Stadium roundabout, and Uhuru Highway is pretty busy. It comes in last, it usually does, every morning, and we're seeing that getting into the CBD this morning and then spilling over towards Westlands. James Gishoro is busy. It's going to get on towards Waiyaki Way. And we're also seeing traffic coming off the Thika Superhighway just past Mathare out towards the underpass at Pangani. That's pretty much what we're looking at right now, but it's probably going to go on for another hour or so. Let's talk on Spice FM KE on Twitter and keep things moving still.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Welcome to the final hour of the Situation Room this lovely morning. It's Eric and Ndu. CT is enjoying himself. He's watching TV. What's he watching?
He's watching Go TV this morning. Okay, at this point, it is Go TV. And what we reminded this morning, every day is a fun-filled day for kids of all ages. It will make your child entertained and grow their imagination with different shows. From Monday to Friday, your child gets to enjoy Garbage Boy and Trash Can at 5:45 p.m. only on Cartoon Network channel, which is channel 89 on Go TV. But 6:55 p.m. you can watch your baby mfraye Vutuko na Zig na best friend yake Shako on Zig and Shako, arriving on Cartoonito channel 90 on Go TV Super. Don't miss out. Download the My Go TV app or dial *423# and you'll stay connected to all the fun. Go TV, love it.
And when he takes a break from watching TV, he'll step out of the house and go walk as he prepares for the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon. This year's 20th edition is taking place on the 29th of October. So CT has already gone to nairobimarathon.com and registered with 2,000 bob. Have you? You should. nairobimarathon.com with 2,000 shillings. Register for this year's event. It's going to be on Sunday the 29th of October in Nairobi and in several parts of the country, several towns and cities. And then globally, the virtual run will be in the week leading to the 29th of October. Again, nairobimarathon.com, 2,000 shillings. We are still seeing headlines about talks. Ruto maintains tough conditions ahead of talks. President yesterday said he's ready for dialogue with the opposition, but he will not be blackmailed using violence and that power sharing is off the table, as his henchmen also ruled out talks on cost of living. This is what we're hearing from the top political leadership in the country, from both sides. What do the people want? The citizens themselves. Cyprian Nyamwabu is the director, Future of Kenya Foundation. He's our next guest. Good morning, Cyprian.
Good morning, Eric. Good morning, Du. Happy to be here this morning again.
Karibu sana. The hot seat of the Situation Room. We want to have a conversation. What do the citizens want ahead of these Kenya Kwanza Azimio talks, ahead of our national talks? That's the conversation we'll be having. To welcome you, let me give you the day's proverb. Acting on behalf of CT Muga, the proverbs are from West Africa, those countries, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso.
Where there's a lot of action.
Where there's a lot of action. And the proverb today is, salt cannot glorify itself in the sauce. Salt cannot glorify or praise itself in the sauce. What's your interpretation of it?
So it can glorify itself where? However, I think it's when you reflect on salt glorifying itself, it's about where a human being can praise himself or herself. It has to be a way, or it has to be in a context where it is appreciating its source, that I came from this people, this ethnic community, this nation, or more importantly, to acknowledge, like if you are in power, that your source of power is part of the donation from the sovereign. So that is what I take from that.
The source here, by the way, I meant SAUCE. Not SOUR.
Yes.
CE.
CE as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because I think then because the sauce can
haijisifu ndani ya mchuzi.
Yes, because it dissolves there and it is part of the sauce. So you should act as part of the community, as part of the commonwealth, as part of the collective beauty of a people or of a community or of a work team.
No matter your talent.
No matter your talent. Yes.
Interesting.
You are only a contributor to the collective commonwealth.
That's a good one. That's a good view of it. So we've been seeing this conversation about, talks, dialogue. What's your view of it? First of all, by the political leadership saying, okay, let's have dialogue. What do you make of that?
They haven't said that they want to have dialogue at all. They have never said that.
What have they said?
The first time President Ruto suggested the need for bipartisan talks was on Palm Sunday, April the 9th, this year. And it was after the series of demonstrations of Maandamano. So it is not that he wanted talks. He wanted to see what he can do to get the demonstrations off the street, because they were affecting the economy, and the government had quantified it at about 3 billion shillings a day. In an economy like this, the president was acting in self-preservation. He didn't intend that there be talks, and the talks collapsed, as you saw. After the latest installment of Maandamano that Azimio called the third wave, it became painful because more than 34 people lost their lives, police officers, many injuries, ethnic clashes were out there, the economy was tanking. And I think that is why it was suggested that there is need for some form of talks to try and cool down the pressure. So it is not the political class that has said they want talks. Even as late as yesterday, the president's side, Kenya Kwanza, is saying they will not go to the talks under conditions, they will not be pressured, they will not discuss certain things. So you can already see that those are talks that are perished, that are doomed. They may not even take off to begin with.
But they have said that they want talks, because you started by premising this and saying that they have not said they want talks. They have called for
They have been forced by conditions to hold talks, which they have not even agreed what kind of talks they are going to have. The first meeting is tomorrow at Bomas of Kenya by the teams that have been selected by both sides of the political divide. But this morning, what I think is important is to say that these are what we call the intra-elite negotiations. They are not talks about Kenya. They are not talks about the real issues that should be on the table. In the rest of the sectors, which are not in parliament, have been having a conversation since 2017 about what this country requires if we are going to avoid these clashes at every election and these clashes that follow every election. And the government side, whether it was under Uhuru or Raila or anybody else, don't want structured talks that are inclusive, that follow the principles of genuine dialogue. In fact, they have said they don't want dialogue. What they want is some conversation, some talk, some negotiations. So the vision that the people of Kenya have is not in agreement with the idea that the political class has.
Can we get from your point of view?
Yes.
What is this vision that Kenya has? And I'm going to maybe just add a little bit of meat to that question.
Yeah.
Is that I am of the belief that if a citizenry, it doesn't matter where on the planet they are domiciled, a citizenry who for certain things are met, they actually really don't bother with what government does. Look at the United States, look at the UK, look at Singapore, look at China. Once certain things are sorted out for you, you really leave the business of governance to those who have either asked you to give it to them by way of election or those who've gotten it by appointment. The problem comes about when those things are not being met. That's the way I see it. And we can see that if you look at Social Security being set up in the United States, for example, people's daily needs are met. Do whatever you want in the White House, essentially. From where you sit, what is it that Kenyans want? And have they even said, wait a minute, in all of this, can we be part of the conversation?
Kenyans have been very clear from 2017 at least. I can give a very good account of the position that Kenyans have taken through their, I can account for about 9 sectors. I'm talking about KEPSA and the private sector broadly through what they call Mkenya Daima. I'm talking about the religious leadership through what they call the Dialogue Reference Group. I'm talking about civil society through their structured engagement. I'm talking about students and the youth movement. They have what we call the National Youth Serving Organizations. If the women's movement under their National Steering Committee, if I can talk about those 9 sectors that I have, the trade unions that were on the streets, a month and a half ago, they have a very clear understanding of the kind of national dialogue that they want. And they are saying that you have to go back to 2008 to read the report of Kofi Annan in what we call Agenda 4 items. What has happened for the last 60 years since we got our independence is that there are issues that the political class has ensured will never be discussed conclusively. They have been listed in all reports, but they will not be discussed. They will not be discussed because the people in power are accused to be the architects of the problems. So if you go to the Kofi Annan Agenda 4 issues, for example, land reform, historical injustices, regional imbalances, ethnic animosity, etc., those issues can, the current leadership, whether they are in the opposition or they are in government, generally do not want a national conversation about those issues. So they create very limited number of pressing issues like constituting IBC and a little other things. And they say, this is what we all need. Once we discuss this, we are okay. So you see, when they agreed under the former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, the government side said, you must drop the cost of living from that list. Because that's a policy issue and we'll deal with it at the ministries. And it's clear that the Azimio side dropped the issue, except that when they came out to speak to the public, the backlash was so big, they started issuing statements and saying, no, we need to revise this list and put cost of living on it. They were not intending to discuss it.
So again, is there any way that we can concretize and say that this is what the citizens want?
Oh, yes. The 10 issues that have been framed by those 9 sectors are widely circulated. In fact, there's a letter that
but those sectors have not sat together.
They have sat.
Have they?
Last 2 weeks ago at Fungamano, the 9 sectors met under the aegis of what we call the National Dialogue Forum. And they published a list of 10 issues that they want settled once and for all at a State of the Nation convention, where they say government must be invited, the opposition must be a participant, but they must be participants like all of us. The question that the private sector, for example, asked at Fungamano on that day is this: if Azimio and Kenya Kwanza meet to talk about the economy and the cost of living, what are they going to submit there? Azimio will be giving whose views at that particular meeting. The private sector needs to come there and say the cost of energy, the cost of money, interest rates, and the following things are the ones that are making the economy not to grow. That's why we are retrenching people. So you cannot talk about two political sides who are squibbling over how IBC is supposed to be formed, as if IBC is not a referee for the people of Kenya.
Yeah.
They make IBC look like a referee for the two of them.
Yeah.
That's the problem with the construction of all these talks that are going on. The Kenyans let them have those talks sometimes, because even if limited as they are, but now after 60 years, it is clear that these guys will never discuss anything that is going to solve the problem, the fundamental socioeconomic and political problems of our country. That's why the list of 10 issues is very clear, and we are saying we are not hoping for any charity or goodwill or contribution or mercy from somebody, whether it is in government or in the. We are saying this is our country. Article 1 of our Constitution gives us sovereign power. We can exercise it through elected representatives, or we can exercise it directly, so that we give our country the direction we want to give it.
Cyprian, I think this all, all of this came from somewhere, and maybe we can take a step back and ask then the question, what is the problem? Because usually, when we talk about there are talks and they've come about as a result of something having gone wrong, isn't it? Yeah. When you call the village elders will now, mediate between this side, and then what happened? What is the issue here? Because suddenly everybody wants to talk, isn't it? We're saying Kenya has issues, but all of this, suddenly we realize that this conversation needed to happen after the election of 2022.
No, the elections need to have happened at least in 2017.
No. These two sides that are talking today,
yes,
they would not be in the same conversation void of the election that happened in 2022. An election happened in 2022. Somebody was not happy with the results, right? We are having bipartisan talks today, and the reasons have morphed from one to another. It was essentially IEBC must open the service. It then became that we must have a conversation about the cost of living. All of this stemming from the election of 2022. I can agree that there were deep-seated issues before that, of those that you have mentioned now, Agenda 4, and I said all of those have been historical. They've been there from one administration to the next. But in this conversation that we're having today,
yes,
what's the problem?
There are two types of talks, and I want to answer the question very specifically. There are what we call intra-elite talks, which are normally for the elite, whether they're in the opposition, to agree on how to accommodate each other. Because elections are expensive, and if you are Raila, for example, and you've run 3 elections, presidential elections, without being in government, the other side has an advantage over you, over money, structure, and everything else. So you are feeling the pressure. There are no more donors coming forward to fund your elections. And so intra-elite talks have their place in our country. They cannot happen unless the opposition raises the ante, which is to say the elections were rigged, we have evidence, you are in office illegitimately, and we want the servers opened, and we want all that. You understand? The Supreme Court didn't determine the matters based on law and facts, and IBC was compromised and it was captured and whatnot. All those issues. Those are the issues we say the chips. You have to raise the stakes if the talks are going to happen.
Right.
Once the talks are opened, the discussion, I can tell you, I'm privy to a lot of information there. People are saying, how do we divide the 7 commissioners? Who gets the 3 and who gets the other ones? How do we get the chairman and that kind of thing? That's why I was asking the question. So, this referee is for MPs, is for political parties.
Exactly. So then the question...
So that is why those talks are actually against the broad long-term interests of our country. We are actually saying that the problem has never been IBC in elections in this country.
Never.
It has never been. The problem in our country is the choice of the presidential system of government and the choice of an electoral system that we call the winner takes it all, first past the post. So our structural problems cannot be solved by sharing IBC commissioners.
So these talks that we have today,
yes,
we can solidly say has absolutely nothing to do with Kenyans and their desires.
They have nothing to do with Kenyans and their desires. And you look at the list of the things that have been presented there, there are issues there. For example, the poaching of members of parliament from the opposition, grabbing Jubilee from Kenyatta, Azimio, and those are all legitimate, multi-party democracy concerns, right? But we are saying that we have fundamental constitutional issues about our country that will never be allowed to be discussed on that table. It's only us, the people of Kenya, who can discuss and agree and compel government to take action on those issues. Let me just give you an example. More than 34 people have been killed by the police. Why were they killed? Who killed them? People were pulled out of their houses and killed and maimed. Why is that happening? Why is state terrorism happening in a country that is at peace? Why is this being done? That level of human rights violations cannot be left to politicians to talk about. We must open the conversation so that Kenyans ask themselves, is this how we want to live? So that when we come from a certain community and we have not agreed with your government, we didn't vote for you, you can send people to come and pull us out of our houses and kill us? We can't live like that. That is not the Kenya that we established in 2010 under the Constitution of Kenya. I'm just giving you some of the issues that are never going to be on that table. And that's why we are saying they can start to have their intra-elite because they are free. Kenyans are free to meet and talk. We can't say, no, they must not meet. We are going to bomb us tomorrow to stop them from meeting. We can't do that. It's a democracy. If Ruto or Raila or anybody wants to meet with anybody and talk about anything and agree on anything, you can't stop them so long as they are exercising their constitutional right and duty. However, we are saying those talks have nothing about the concrete issues that are on the table and that we have published. In fact, there is a clear memorandum that we've written on behalf of the citizens of Kenya under what we call Kenya Bora Tuitakayo. And those 10 issues are part of what we want the national dialogue process, what we call the multi-stakeholder national dialogue process, to discuss so that it's foolish to repeat this ritual after every election. We know there is somebody who's going to be aggrieved with the results of an election. So then we kill each other and we wait for another 5 years and we kill each other. I mean, that is foolishness and we must avoid it. So why can't we have an honest conversation about who we are, what are our problems, political, economic, social, and agree that this is how we want to solve these problems, with government or without government. A lot of these issues do not even need government, to be very honest.
It's a society issue. Let's take a break. 9:30. Cyprian Nyamwamu is the director of Future of Kenya Foundation. He's our guest this morning. What do citizens want as we see the political class pushing towards some talks that will be beginning tomorrow? What is it that citizens want? What do citizens need? The Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon, 29th of October, 2023. will be the 20th edition. Are you ready for it? Register on nairobimarathon.com, and all you need is 2,000 shillings. Tell us about GoTV.
I'll tell you about DSTV. Okay, so it's holiday season, and parents, guardians, and children alike, it's a public service announcement calling on all children who've closed school for the August holidays. DSTV is calling upon you to never stop thinking and imagining. You are cordially invited to our wonder-filled world packed with the greatest kids content from Africa and across the world. Don't waste your kids' August holiday. Get connected to DSTV today and watch your kids expand their horizons with content that will inspire them to be more adventurous and fun. It's all on DSTV. Dial *423# or download my DSTV app to get a DSTV decoder with 1 month of family for 2,999 shillings.
And please don't forget to register onto the Bomayangu platform, *832#, *832#. Unataka nyumba, *832#.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Oh, finally! It's my Standard Courier delivery.
At Standard Courier, we know that your time is valuable. That's why we guarantee swift and efficient deliveries to your doorstep every time. Give us a call on 0793 599 684 or schedule your next delivery by visiting our website www.standardmedia.co.ke/courier. Trust Standard Courier service for all your courier needs. We deliver with pride.
All right, we're looking at cloudy conditions in Nairobi, highs of 23. We'll see highs of 26 in Nakuru and highs of 22 in Nyeri. Eldoret will see highs of 23 and Mombasa will see highs of 29. It'll also be highs of 29 in Malindi, and it's sunny at 24 in Kisumu, going to highs of 29. 28 will be the high in a sunny Kakamega. At 24, Kampala is sunny, and 27 is what it is in Dar es Salaam. 14 and sunny in Johannesburg, and 26 and cloudy in Lagos. 22 and partly sunny in Kinshasa. Looking into Beijing, it's cloudy going into early evening Tuesday. Sunny at 16 in Paris, and 14 and cloudy in London. 23 and cloudy still Monday night in New York, highs of 26 and lows of 20 Tuesday.
This is DJ Adams.
Look at all these rumors surrounding me every day.
Join us this and every Saturday for Soul Sessions with me and DJ Seda. Come enjoy 18,000 seconds of your favorite old school jams.
Join us this and every Saturday from 7 to midnight.
Only on 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, getting to the end of traffic hour this morning. A little bit left here and there in the city, but all manageable. James Kishiro over that drift is going to go to Waiyaki Way. Pretty busy right about now, but we should be fine. Coming off Landys, it's jam-packed, bumper to bumper, through and through. But like we said, through the morning, it should get easier. Let's talk on Spice FM KE on Twitter.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
The continues with the director of Future of Kenya Foundation, Cyprian Nyamoamu, who was our guest this morning. What do Kenyans want? Cyprian, what you're saying today is something we've said many times on this show. Even when the conversations around the BBI began, we said Kenya is due for another Bomas moment, where every sector in the country comes to Bomas and we have a constituent assembly. And we talk about, all right, it's been 10 years of this thing. How's it working? Where are we as a country? What do we need to do? Now, you're saying it's the same kind of conversation that the 9 sectors are saying, National Dialogue Forum, let's have a national dialogue. But then who's involved in this? When you say the National Dialogue Forum, how many sectors, how widely representative is this National Dialogue Forum?
Thank you very much, Eric. Actually, the 9 are the can I say, the vanguard, the movers of the dialogue process. These are sectors that have what you call convening power. When you talk about the religious sector, they have convening power. But the real idea is to get a national convention of about 2,000 delegates who have a stake, real stake. In that kind of a conversation, you will expect that the judiciary will have to be represented, parliament will have to be represented in some way. You will expect that the council of governors will be represented, the commissions and independent officers. And political parties, you expect them to participate. But we also expect that sectors like young people, you cannot continue to claim that you represent young people. You need them on the table. Students in this country need to come and speak about how they are interacting with education. And so it's about 22 sectors that we have listed that need representation. That kind of a representation is a representation you draft into some kind of a framework, and you convene. Now, our expectation is that Kenya Kwanza and Azimio are not going to be enthusiastic about this kind of a national convention. And I've told you the reason. The reason is that they are the accused. They are the perpetrators of crimes against Kenyans. All right? So you cannot ask Azimio or ODM, how do you think party primaries can be improved in Kenya? Do you see what I'm talking about? These people do not have the solutions because they are the perpetrators. You understand? I remember in 2013 when the late Ambassador Bethwell Kiplagat and his team presented the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission report, very voluminous. I audited that process. The recommendations were very strong. But you see, when you are Uhuru Kenyatta and you open that report and you see the Kenyatas are accused in about 16 pages, you shelve and throw it under the table. Of course. William Ruto is in that, like in 18 pages of the TGS report. He will never implement it. So we don't expect a lot from these gentlemen and ladies.
And that's why
And that is why now, for us, we know what we've done before. You remember during the NCEC days? We didn't request KANU to bring us together. We convened the people of Kenya in Limuru. And all the sectors came, including political parties in the opposition. It was only KANU which didn't come.
You see, now that's the thing.
Yes.
For then, the civil society movement, starting with the Fungamano and the religious leaders, I mean, NCCK, and then the forces of Kivuta Kibwana, the NCEC, you were part of these conversations. There was some representation of the political players. The political players played a role in moving this. And that's why even when Moi was saying, listen, this is a Wanjiko thing, Wanjiko doesn't need, we can do it, there was another voice. When Moi said, I'm appointing Yashpal Gai from the commission, Yashpal Gai heard the voices from elsewhere, which were also inside parliament, which were saying, we cannot ignore this other parallel process that's going on. Now we have a parallel process, or I'm hearing you saying the National Dialogue Forum is creating a parallel process for conversation, a national conversation. The political elite are in one bus this time. We do not have a split, right? So how then? Is it that time there was the advantage of the opposition coming in and saying, you know what, we don't agree with those guys. We feel that we are better with you guys. This time, if you look at the headlines, you will always see what we are seeing as the politicians.
What do we miss? You see, we don't miss anything. Let me tell you something that I learned in my university political science politicians are like fish. they can't survive where the people are not. They can't survive outside the people. That's why President William Ruto has to quickly run to mashinani and stand on that, on top of the SUV. That is the life of a politician.
You need that dose to keep going.
Without it, a politician is nothing. Even the reason why they are on the table is their claim that they are representing the people. That's why they are on the table. The day the National Dialogue Convention is convened, because we have our constitutional rights. That's the conversation that is going on. And we are not being loud about it because we don't need anybody's permission to convene. We also have the resources, we have the expertise, and we have the constitutional framework for conducting that kind of a convention. So we are not missing anything. The day we convene it, they will plead. You will see everybody issuing a statement and saying, these are the issues that I think should be on that table. This is our position. They will send their Secretary Generals. Malala has come here many times. He will run in with the Kenya Kwanza position. We are not worried about them. We know how this country works. And we do know that the day the convention is called, the National Dialogue Convention, the government side will run there quickly. And the opposition side, Azimio, will rush. They will not even allow you to announce the date before they say we are also part of it. So we are not worried at all about their not. In fact, if you spoke to Azimio people, they will tell you, if we do not convene this convention, they are not going to get anything on that table. Ruto is not going to give these guys anything. I can tell you that. I've taught, I've trained, I know how mediation is done, I know how negotiations are done. Azimio has nothing.
They have no leverage.
They have no leverage. Absolutely no leverage. So I don't expect that these talks are even going to take off.
You see, the other fear, and I'd like you to address this, is what we've seen before. Civic actors being very good at mobilizing and pushing a certain agenda and elevating it to be the national agenda, and even pushing for the political class to stop and listen. And then civic actors, by the mere fact that the political actors have stopped and listened, they begin celebrating the civic actors. And they leave this. And that's when the political actors swoop in and take over. We saw it the Arab Spring. We've seen it in Sudan, in Lebanon. We've seen it in the Far East Asian countries. We have seen it everywhere. Even in Kenya, the 2010 constitution was a moment of civic actors sitting down and clapping and saying, yes, we have had
Hosanna.
And we have seen what we have done, what has happened in the last 13 years. How do we safeguard this time?
You are actually spot on, to be very honest. There was this, triumphalism. We've succeeded, we've delivered, we now have a new constitution. We thought that now the new constitution is going to implement itself. Look who got the power. Are the people who didn't want the constitution. So this is something that we've learned painfully. So, because everybody went to take care of their businesses now that we had delivered the constitution in 2010. But we've learned our lessons, and they have been very bitter lessons. That is why we are coming together. The citizen side under Kenya Bora Tuitakayo Assembly, and the religious leaders organizing on their own, the private sector, etc. Because once the confluence of the legitimate forces and sectors of our people come together, it is because we know that if we don't stay together and do vigilance, there is no implementation that is going to happen. So that is one thing. The second and last thing that we've learned from about 20 years of this kind of process is that you must establish, like what we established in Zimbabwe, a national agency of non-state representatives. Our vision is that at the end of the national dialogue process. We are going to establish the JOMEC, the Joint Monitoring and Evaluation Commission, where you have about 11 commissioners from the private sector, civil society, religious, persons with disability, like that, which conducts a continuous process of monitoring and tracking to see whether we are implementing, because that's what we didn't have in 2008 when we did the Kofi Annan. So there was this big report with the Agenda 4 issues that need to be done, but there was nobody who was following up, and Parliament and the state did not have any appetite to address those issues because they were going to affect the interests. Human beings look at the interests, and they said, if we implement Agenda 4, we are removed. We are basically damned. So that is why the WAC report, the Kriegler report, the TGRC report, all those reports, even Chapter 6 of our current constitution, has been observed in breach. And there's nothing that is going on. So there's state capture, there are a lot of problems, and these problems cannot be addressed by the people in power, or the elite, as we call them. So we are very conscious of that, and the admission we make is that we actually lost our steps after the promulgation of the Constitution. And we are coming to 13 years this August.
You said something about to check and see, monitor, evaluate whether these things are actually being done, right? So then what happens if they're not? And then what power then is vested to say, look, this is who must? Yesterday we had a conversation and really worried about the fact that, as you say, members of parliament captured by whomever, and they could be captured by their own selfish interest, the executive, whomever, really unfortunately are not in a position to do some of these things. So then what? We find out that these things are not being implemented. This is the will of the people. Those who've been given the legislative mandate to do this are not doing it. Then what? And I think that's the place where we are most worried.
We are not too worried now because we have a constitution that I think the people in power have not read very well. And that's very good, because a lot of the things that the Ruto administration did during the Mandamano, they do not know what's coming. That I can assure you. And we are not boasting too much, Eric, but Kenya has things that are not in many other countries.
True.
And the documentation that is going on, the evidence that is being gathered from the victims, from the families who lost whatever, from the businesses that were broken and all that kind of thing, being done quietly by various actors, they are going to bite somebody. They are going to bite somebody.
It's not if, it's when.
It is when. Somebody is going to be beaten very harsh, very hard. There is a current explanation, a discussion going on. What is the meaning of collecting 10 million, 15 million signatures under Chapter 1 of our Constitution? The government has not even started to interact with that conversation because they are already campaigning for 2027. And so I don't know whether I'm letting out information, but I don't think that this government are serious people.
Is it just the government, or is it the political elite? Again, to me, government cross over one side to the other side.
Uru's administration had... we are in civil society, we are very competent people, but that side had very accomplished expertise available to that administration. So
did the administration act on the advice?
No, they used the expertise to actually undermine the public interest. But now it's going to catch up with Uru as well. And I think I can say that here. You know, one of the things that happened and that's agenda number 2 in our 10-point agenda, I'm now starting to unpack part of that even as time moves. The forensic audit of public debt. Parliament is never going to do it.
No.
And it is possible that under the 10 years of William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta, Government may have borrowed upwards of 6 trillion shillings without parliamentary approval. That's treason. What are you going to do? Somebody has to answer. And who is that? That is going to be President Uhuru.
But my question is...
Yes.
Somebody has to answer. It's going to be President Uhuru. Who is going to ask the question for him to answer? And that is my... who's going to take responsibility?
No, I don't know whether you realize... No,
because we've said...
Bailing the cat, we are going to bail.
We've said Parliament is a lame duck. That's not going to happen.
It's captured completely.
Civil society is asking the questions and pushing, right? It's very simple here. Who is the one? What is the entity that it's going to... Is there some ad hoc court somewhere that's waiting in the shadows, waiting for it to come out and then say, we have then the leadership or governmental mandate to then come out and ask these questions? Is there a court hanging in the shadows somewhere to come and ask the questions? No. Who is going to make the case? Because you've said that everybody's hands are soiled already. Everybody who is in this conversation has dirty hands.
In the intra-elite.
Exactly.
In the intra-elite.
And they also...
And that's why we are not looking up to them for solutions.
Enough, they are right now the ones who hold the instruments of power.
Well,
who is going to ask the question? And we're saying Uhuru Kenyatta will answer. Who is asking him? We're saying William Ruto will answer. Who is asking him? We're saying people who borrowed will answer. Who is asking them? Who's going to ask?
I don't know whether you remember that there's a year when Uhuru was president, a certain lady from Korea, she was the Korean president, South Korea president, came here, and 9 months she had gone back to Korea and she was in jail.
Yes.
This constitution has not even been implemented, a part of it. I mean, we are probably at maybe 7-10% of implementing this constitution. This constitution, once the people come together under the national dialogue process and resolutions are going to be made and the implementation mechanisms are going to be in the matrix, you are going to see a certain solidarity amongst the people of Kenya from all the 47 counties, and even those who are in the diaspora. You are going to see certain tremendous actions. And that's why I'm asking whether the Ruto administration understands what they are doing. Because they are operating. I saw the president saying that the only job he's left with now is to take Raila to Bondo. I said, does the president understand the country that he is governing? Because if he knew, then he would not be saying certain things like those. Because a lot is coming. And the people of Kenya, I trust them. I went to jail all the way to committee and we didn't die. We came out. I'm here. I'm alive. We have done these things and we will do them again. We are a different kind of a citizenry. Our heritage from Mau Mau and our heritage from the first and second liberations have taught us the things that we need to know. We also know about the kind of constituency we are now dealing with. So all the issues that we have put on the table, from dealing with the issues of historical injustices, dealing with the cost of living, the taxation policy, talking about service delivery, which is about, I think, issue number 5. Service delivery in this country. Take passports, for example, and how we've just collapsed with the issuance of passports in this country. NHIF has collapsed. The healthcare sector is in a mess. The education sector is completely in shambles. Look at higher education funding, for example. So the issues are very clear. And if government knew what the citizens are talking about, they will in fact abandon Raila and start to talk to the religious leaders and the private sector, because they are actually talking to the wrong guys. Because the demand is going to be big and the results are going to be demanded for. Once we establish the JOMEC and we'll be giving this country, we are going to see 3, 4, 5 million people assembling and saying, you can't govern us if you are not part of the social contract. The social contract is so clear. So those Kenyans you said are okay if certain things are being provided. they also look up to the elite. I've seen what civil society can lead citizens to do, what the religious sector can do under, for example, the People's Commission at Fungamano. So I'm confident that Kenya is going to reinvent itself, and these demands are going to be met.
You know, Cyprian, I admire, you know, the zeal with which you're speaking.
The confidence,
the conviction that you have inside you that these things can happen.
Because we've done them.
Reality.
Yeah.
Previously, you have had the support of, let's say, donors. How you get the money to mobilize all these things. This time, is it the same as, do you have the same access to donor funding as you had 30 years ago? Do you have the same access
20 years ago.
to mobilization of resources as you had, let's say, yes, 20 years ago? Do you?
In fact, that's the opportunity that is there now. Because let me tell you, because I worked in that space for as long as you know I have, one of the problems with donor money is that you cannot act as you desire to act. I'll give you one example, just one. We are at Bomas. We have drafted the constitution. It has gone to the referendum. It has collapsed. We've gone to Naivasha 2010. We've drafted a new proposed constitution. And one of our biggest funders, I am not going to name them on air, reads the constitution and says we've cut the leases on land from 900 years to 99. You know what that means? The leases are over.
Yep.
Because they have been having the land for 75 years.
Yes.
So 99 means another
Only
14 years.
Yep.
And the land is gone. The first thing they did is to withdraw funding for the committee of experts and the constitutional conference and the referendum. There we are. So we realize that we actually don't have the money to even print copies of the proposed constitution. I am happy that we are starting this journey this time round, not looking to some donors to be the ones who are going to fund this process. We have operated, for example, under Kenya Bora Twitakayo for over the last 5 months from self-funding. We've conducted, I think, 4 workshops. We've done about meetings across the country, and it has been self-funded. People contributing 4,000, 3,000, 6,000, 10,000, those who are in better places, 20,000. And we raise the budget. And we train people, we have conversations, we agree, we establish structures. This is the way to go. You cannot liberate yourself from money that is being told, if it goes against IMF, stop that funding. So I'm very happy. We've spoken to a few donors of
true
us.
Independence.
We are independent.
Okay.
And this is why we are relying on citizens to stand on their own and act on their own. And I like where we are as a country going forward.
Cyprian, thank you very much for joining us today. Someone says you still didn't answer the question of who will bell the cat. You said civil society.
We will bell the cat. Kenya Bora Twitakayo assemblies, working with our allies in the religious, in the business, in the, in the youth and in the community sector, we are going to bell the cat.
Cyprian Nyamwamu, Director, Future of Kenya Foundation. Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation. Our time is up. It's 10 a.m. See you tomorrow. Have a lovely day.